Welcome to the Transform with Vance podcast, where transformations begin every day, and I am your host, Vance Hines. So let's get started. All right, this is Vance Hines, and I'm here with Patrick Sims, another one of the DDPY Positively Unstoppable Champions for 2021. Patrick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. How are you?
I am doing good. You got a fancy setup there, man. That's a nice mic. And do you do your own podcast?
Yes, I do. I've got two of them. I do the For You Health and Fitness podcast and the For You Entertainment podcasts, both on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. So I do audio and video.
Very cool. Very cool. What's the theme of those podcasts?
Well, the For You Health and Fitness, we just started them. For You Health and Fitness, obviously, is where we're trying to get people to get inspired, motivated, give them information to try to help them live their best lives. So we're starting the program off by getting all of the champions on. So we just did Stephanie Kelly.
Very
cool. She just did hers, and she's done your show as well.
She has.
And then we're doing for the entertainment side, that's covering everything: movies, music, wrestling. And the first episode of that, which we just did, was Stephanie's husband, Dan. And we talked The Rock versus Hogan from WrestleMania 18.
Very cool. Very cool. Did you get into the big yellow hat they've got?
That's the next show that he and I are going to do. We're going to be talking about that Macho Man hat, man. I love that story. That's a great story.
It is a great story. All right. What I did for the other guys is I kind of threw up a softball question to begin with, to kind of for you to give kind of a synopsis of why you are considered a DDPY success story. And, obviously you got the hardware to support it there, but give the listeners, if anybody ever listens to my podcast, give them a brief synopsis of why you're considered a DDP Yoga success story.
So, I'll cut to the chase on this one. So, when I'd started my DDPY journey, it was in April of last year, which is still crazy because I'm still not even at a year into this yet. I'm still a couple months away. But, I started it off, and a month in, I had lost just over 32 pounds. And I posted a tweet about it. I wasn't doing a whole lot of social media stuff because I wanted to do something special when I finally hit my goal and everything. But I tweeted about it, and Pat McDermott with DDPY actually saw that and responded to me and said, "Hey, are you part of the challenge?" And I'm like, "What challenge?" I have no idea what you're talking about because I'm working off the DVDs. I don't even have the app at the time. So he sends me the link. I join the challenge, and I'm joining it more so because I know that I'm going to have a big struggle with this, with my whole journey and everything. So I need support. I need inspiration. I need motivation from the community. And it's exactly what I got. I immediately found Stephanie and Brian and Jeremy Landry. And then later on, I would see Maria. And then later on after that, I would see Brian. So it was a great experience to be involved in that, and it really pushed me to keep doing well and doing better. So after 6 months of my challenge ending on October 3rd, I had lost 120 pounds, which I think for DDP, he said this like a ton of times where he's just like, I wouldn't have believed it if he hadn't documented everything. And I did. This wasn't something that, again, I didn't plan on this or anything. I was doing this for me, for my own accountability. So I was documenting every single weekend. I took pictures of the front, both sides, the back. I had video of my workouts and everything. You could line everything up week by week, and then I had a spreadsheet and everything. So my documentation was on point.
Yeah.
And I think from the challenge standpoint, making me one of the champions, they asked me, and I'll mention this, and I think this kind of helps. So they asked me during my first interview. They said, if you are not chosen as a finalist, would you be disappointed? And I thought about that for like a split second. And for the first thing that goes through your head is you're like, well, if I should probably tell them what they want to hear, which is no, I'm already a winner, and I'm already this, and I'm already that, and the real thing of me and being a champion is I've got my life back, which is all true. But on the other hand, DDPY has changed my mentality, and it's given me confidence and stuff. And so I've been able to be a little bit more honest about it. And I looked at Steve, you, and Nadia and Pat McDermott, and I said, you know what? The truth is, yeah, I'm going to be disappointed if I'm not a finalist. And I'm just like, I started at about 300 pounds, which is not like the heaviest that people have been, but to lose 120 from 3, I told them, I said, look, my transformation physically, in my opinion, was second to none. My mental transformation and my story is to me is second to none. My documentation was on point. So I'm like, so yeah, if you don't choose me, I will be a little disappointed, but if you don't, then I said that's your fault.
Yeah.
So, I think they liked me being upfront like that and my honesty about it. I mean, I wasn't rude or being a jerk about it or anything. So I think they like that. But yeah, just my dedication to the program. They know that where my goals are going. They know I'm part of the excuse me. I'm part of the certification program. I've become more active on social media, really trying to help give back and encourage people. So I think they looked at where I came from, what I did, where I was at that time, and then where I was going with it. And that all combined, I think that helped them make a pretty clear decision on that one, in my opinion.
and you've got the hardware to prove it. So show them the hardware
Yes.
here. Show them and explain what that is.
So this, and I'm trying to do it so my ring light doesn't reflect off of it too much. So this is the belt that they give all of the champions. Brian Tam looks slightly different because his has grand in front of it. But it down here, you've got the Roman numerals, if anybody knows what those mean anymore. So, because we're the 2021, positive and unstoppable. And I like this design. Like, I really do. Like, I thought Candy's was really cool. And it's got actually DDP on it. I really like the diamond cutter sign on it. And it was funny because they messaged me and they were like, the one thing they couldn't figure out on their own was if I wanted Patrick or Pat. And I like the way my name looks formally as the full name. I think Pat Sims on a belt like this wouldn't look quite as good. But one of the really cool things about this belt, and I don't know if the other guys have shown you this. So right here, one of the plates on the side, you'll see it says Team. You can barely see the team there, but it says Team Relentless on it. And there's a little R here, the little design that they came up with. That is the name that the 6 of us came up with for ourselves. We kept trying to come up with some kind of catchy little name, but we wanted to make one that was impactful and meaningful, but not one that was like bragging. Still kind of, we didn't want anybody thinking we were better than them or anything else. I always have a thing. I just did a post like, you found success. Now what do you do? And one of those things is stay humble.
Yeah.
You're not better than anybody. DDPY chose you. I got this tattoo that says unstoppable right here.
Hey, show. I want to see the tattoo. Show me the tattoo.
Yeah. So let me swerve a little bit. So there you go.
Oh man, that's cool.
So you got the thing.
Very nice.
Yeah. When one of my goals was, when I lost 100 pounds, the reward for the goal was to get a tattoo, but it was for my back. And so we couldn't afford it until I won, until I was a champion. So I came back, and one of the first things I did was I signed up for the certification to be an instructor, and then immediately was looking for tattoo artists, and I had my entire back done.
What does it say?
But at the same, it's what it is. It's this giant black sword that goes from the base of my neck all the way down to the bottom of my back. And then out from there, it spreads these Celtic designed wings, and they come swooping down and cover the entire back.
Oh, let's see it. You got to show us.
All right, I can do that. I can do that.
You got to show us, man.
All right.
How long did it take to do?
It took 2 sessions, a total of 10 hours.
10 hours. Damn.
Yeah, so let me
I want to see what a Celtic wing is. I don't know what do you mean by a Celtic wing? Oh, man.
Can you see it?
Yeah, that's badass, man.
Yeah. So Celtic, basically Celtic is just a special design, and with me being Irish and Scottish, it's kind of part of who I am and where I came from, and it's very similar to maybe like a tribal design as well. Like they're very sharp edges. And everything like that, but I found that design, and we had to adjust it so that it would fit my back really well. And the guy that I did, he's actually a friend of mine who did it, and he didn't charge me very much, but he did my forearm basically for free.
Wow.
And
Very
so
cool.
the Unstoppable one, my favorite is probably my second favorite tattoo, because if my wife watches this, my favorite is my wife's initial on my but for the Unstoppable one, he was lining it up and everything, and because I designed this one, and I designed it on my computer. So I said, when you put it on and you stencil it on, I said make the letters just slightly off. Don't make it perfectly straight across. And then if you see each of the letters, there's little holes in them, and stuff, because it looks like they're kind of falling apart a little bit. And that was on purpose, because I wanted this to really represent me. And the best way to do that is show that, it's not all quite right.
Yeah.
But the word still applies.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, I can relate to the there's I don't know the best way to say it, but the holes and the falling apart and the humanity of it, I guess would be the way to say it. I've always related like to the superheroes that weren't perfect, or the stories of people winning despite faults they have. There's always there's good and bad in everybody, and so I like the design. I like it a lot.
That's why Batman's my favorite superhero.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that is a broken character right there, but he takes that and he uses it to do just amazing things.
To do good.
I love it.
Yeah, my favorite literary character is a guy named Cleet Purcell in the James Lee Burke novels, the Dave Robichaux novels, but they're kind of broken ex-cops. But, with Cleet, though, he has a clear line between good and bad. You treat the bad guys like bad guys and the good guys like good guys,
Yeah. Kind of like wrestling in the 80s.
That's right. All right, where are you from, man?
So I live in Irvine, California. I've always kind of been a Southern California kid. I lived in Central California for a little while, and I went to college out in River Forest, Illinois, which Stephanie Kelly probably knows where that is, the suburb of Chicago. But yeah,
what college?
I've been Orange County.
What college?
It was Concordia River Forest. It's a Christian college out there, and it wasn't bad, but I'm not a good student.
How did you get there from California?
Like physically, how did I get there?
Well, what made you go to that school? There's a lot of schools Christian schools between California and the suburb of Illinois. How'd you get to that one?
Well, there's a Concordia Irvine out here, and I wanted to go there, but the only way I was going to go to college, and like I said, I was a terrible student. I'm not someone my kids can look up to school-wise, so I'm really glad that they're honor roll kids. Like, I tear up when they come home with honor roll awards because I'm like, dude, I never did that. But the only way I was going was athletically. I played football and baseball. I excelled in those in high school. So, River Forest I was a fullback on offense in football, and I was a defensive end on defense, and on baseball I was a catcher.
So how tall were you in high school?
I barely got 5'10".
And how much do you weigh?
I was football season. I was anywhere from 2 to 215. I had really strong lower body. I was squatting, anywhere between 550 and 600 pounds. Damn. I was cleaning over 300 pounds. So, I was really strong in my lower body. My upper body, I barely even touched. During baseball season, I was more between like 175 and 190, somewhere around there. I tried to stay in leaner shape for baseball. But those positions really catered to having screwed up knees and hips and everything for a while before DDPY came in. But
how many years did you play in college? How many years did you play in college?
I only played one, unfortunately.
I did that too.
I got hit by a car.
Oh shit!
I was out
you
there.
You got a better excuse than I do.
I hate it. It's because because my academics weren't great. I really wished I had put more effort in and stuff. But I don't like looking back and regretting or anything like that because it's all led me to where I am now. Yeah. But out there, if you guys would go to the Midwest, I didn't drive out there. My dad took me out there in his RV. And so I didn't drive out there. I didn't have a car or anything like that. And so I walked everywhere. And I was walking. One of my normal things I did, it was back in the day, they had a VHS store. And that's where I went to get my wrestling tapes so that I could see the pay-per-views and stuff like that. And that's where I bought my only WCW VHS, which was DDP's Feel the Bang VHS tape. And
so you were a DDP fan back then, huh?
That is a story in and of itself. Not exactly. So what happened was, I grew up a wrestling fan. Okay, WWE was everywhere in the 80s. Hulk Hogan, especially, was everywhere. So I was a huge Hulk Hogan fan, and I've said this a few times. I don't know if it's going to be part of my video or what that DDPY puts out, but essentially my father, my biological father, was there's no sweet, sugarcoating. It was a horrible person. He was a very physically and emotionally and mentally abusive person. And as a kid, I needed to find a way to get away from that. I couldn't get away from my father, but when I had time to myself, I had to find a way to kind of escape reality. And professional wrestling did that for me. I have given WWE, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, and Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, these guys, the credit for almost pretty much saving my life as a kid. I could have gone down a very dark road. I could have had some thoughts that were really not good for a child to have. but I found solace in WWE. And the first pay-per-view that I ever watched from beginning to end was in 1990, and it was WrestleMania 6. And that just happens to be also the WrestleMania debut of Diamond Dallas Page, who drove his pink Cadillac down to the ring with Rhythm and Blues. Now, at the time, obviously, I didn't know that's who that was, but I am a big believer in fate and that everything happens for a reason. And how weird is it that he's in that pay-per-view, not as a wrestler, but he's in it.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching it from beginning to end, and it's still a pay-per-view I can watch from beginning to end and be thoroughly entertained and love it. You know, it ends with the Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan. And now let's skip ahead. I'm definitely a huge fan. I've basically made a decision. I'm going to be a lifelong fan. They gave to me something that was very important when I needed it. I'm going to be loyal to them. So the WCW Monday Night, WWE Monday Night Wars started happening, and I picked a side. And so I wanted nothing to do with WCW. I was WWE. And I get to college, and I was not prepared for college in any sense of the word, and especially when it came to the way that guys were rabid fans of wrestling. Like, it was crazy. This is 1998 that I showed up to college, and that was back when Goldberg was big and Austin was taking off like a rocket. The Rock was starting to come into his own. Mankind. And, of course, DDP was one of those guys. The NWO was still hot. And so, I mean, it was rabid fans of all of this. And one guy came into my dorm room, and he goes, "Hey, can I watch Raw with you? Because I'm taping Nitro." And I said, "Yeah, we can do that every Monday. Every Monday, you tape Nitro. You come in here. We'll watch Raw together." And that's what we did. And he would not shut up about Nitro. And I said, "I don't want to hear about Nitro. I don't want to hear about Nitro." And he goes, "Well, I have to tell you about one guy at least. Can I tell you about one guy?" And I said, "Sure." He goes, "I want to tell you about DDP." I'm like, "Who the hell is DDP? I've never heard the name DDP before." And he goes, "It's Diamond Dallas Page." And then he starts going off about how he partnered with Karl Malone and how he partnered with Jay Leno and I'm going, what the hell? Like, why is he partnering with these guys? And he goes, "Oh, it's against Hogan and whoever." And I'm like, okay, anybody who wrestles against Hogan, immediately I'm putting them as top guys. And they said, DDP must be a top guy. And that's when I walked down to the VHS plate. I bought Diamond Dallas Page's VHS tape. Only WCW product I bought. And I came back and I watched it. And all I remember thinking is, A, I'm still not watching WCW. B, if he does anything outside of WCW, I'm going to watch it. And lastly, he better make his way to WWE at some point. And so Ready to Rumble came out, and I jumped on that terrible train wreck of a movie, but I still own it today because of DDP. And then when DDP came to WWE, I was super happy and then hated what they did with him. But I kept following him. I was excited to see him every time he came on WWE television. And then he started wearing those DDPY shirts and everything. And I didn't pay much attention to it. My buddy goes, we were watching the Royal Rumble, and he came out for one of the Rumbles. And my buddy went, "Ugh, he's wearing that DDP Yoga shirt again." And I went, "What is DDP Yoga?" And at the time, I was probably about 260, 270. It wasn't where I was going to be. And my buddy goes, "It's this thing he's doing. And, it's some workout thing." And he was so disgusted by it. It was funny. But it was funny because that stuck in my mind. And it's so funny how, like, DDP in my life has been like a brain tick. Like, he gets in there and then he doesn't leave. He just sticks around. And when I finally hit my rock bottom,
I think that's natural, though. I think he does that to everybody.
Yeah, he does. It's just I when I talk to Stephanie or I talk to Brian or anything like that, it's not like we saw Diamond Dallas Page and immediately went, "Yep, that's what we're doing." It took time.
Yeah.
for all of this process to happen. So it was like when I finally did hit that rock bottom and I started coming back, or I started trying to figure out how I was going to come back from that, that DDP bug was stuck in my brain. And that's when I looked up DDP Yoga Success Stories, because at the time it wasn't branded DDPY. And so that's when I found the Arthur Borman video. I saw your video. I saw, and I was just blown away. And I was just like, man, these guys really turned their lives around, not just lost weight. Because looking the way I do now, I look at it as being like, and this is not me being like egotistical or anything, but I'm like, I feel like I look good, but that wasn't the goal. That was what I call like icing on the cake. My wife can put her arm, around me and we can go out and she can feel like, she's got her eye candy now too. And that's how she puts it. And it's like that's just a icing on the cake. Yeah. What I was really wanting to do is I wanted to get healthy, number one, so that I could grow old with my wife, so I could be there for my grandkids. But I also wanted to change my whole mentality about life. I wanted to change my mentality on food. I wanted to change my mentality on exercise. And, I was at a point in last year, 2020, where I was telling myself, I need to just check out, because if my wife and kid come home and I'm not here, that's better for them.
When was that?
That would have been toward the last quarter of 2020. I mean, I probably from about October, November, December, January of 2021. That was my mindset. My business had failed.
Okay, wait a minute.
And,
wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of you. I don't want.
Oh, sorry.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to back up. I want to hear about you getting hit by the car.
Oh, yeah.
You started that story, and I got you sidetracked.
And then we sidetracked, yeah.
I wanted
problem.
I wanted to hear that story.
It's not a fun story, but so I was walking to that VHS story that I was talking about, and which obviously I didn't make it. I got about halfway there, and I'm crossing the street, and this car just bowls right through the stop sign. And just takes me out, takes out my right knee. I fell onto their hood. I had green paint on my forearm where I hit the car, and then rolled off. And as I was telling the story on the college radio thing, they go, "Well, why didn't you get the license plate on it?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't roll over and memorize their license plate as I'm writhing in pain."
So it was a hit and run?
Yeah. That hit and runs are the story of my life. That also was a big part of my downfall before, later on. But yeah, they just took off, and I got up, and I couldn't put any weight on my knee. And but this is before cell phones.
Did you never see him coming?
No. They came around a corner, and of course, as a normal human being, your first thought process is that's a stop sign. Mm-hmm. They'll stop. I'm in a crosswalk. No, no, that didn't happen. So
you're what?
I walked back.
You're 19 or 20?
I was 18.
18, and you
was
played
18 when that happened.
1 year. So you were in good shape because you were in athletics and doing it all. And what injuries?
Yeah.
What injuries did you suffer?
The main one was my knee, my right knee. It was done. And when you're young and you think you can do anything, I stupidly, like I said, I got up and I knew that my knee was shot, but I didn't know where a hospital was. There was no cell phones. I'm in a suburb, which means there's also no pay phones. So I walked about 3 miles back to my dorm room with a terrible bad knee. And I got back. I missed baseball practice that day. And I got a phone call from the captain of the baseball team. And he and I are buddies today. Like we're really good friends. And he calls me up and he leaves me a message and he's like, "You SOB, don't you ever miss practice again. If you miss practice, you better have gotten hit by a bus." And I called him up and I go, "Just to let you know, it wasn't a bus, but it was a car." And he's like, "Wait, what?
Car.
Yeah, he goes, "You got hit by a car?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, No, dude, I get it. I was a captain in high school. Like, I get it, and you're good. I never took anything personal or anything like that. But and then I got hit by a pitch once that cracked my elbow, my left elbow. It was a 98 mile an hour fastball, and I couldn't get out of the way, and it clipped right at the tip of the elbow. So I have to wear a pad on my elbow now going forward. But that again, and I did after that when I wasn't able to go back, because now I can't really play baseball anymore. I couldn't be a catcher for sure.
Did you have to get surgery or anything on your knee?
Nope. I hate getting surgery. I don't do surgery unless I have to. My doctor still, even though my doctor believes that I've put off my shoulder surgery for 10, maybe 15 years because of DDPY, he's still not happy that I won't even consider replacing it anymore, because I don't like doing that, because I feel like I can work through stuff. And sometimes that's a bad mentality to have. But, like when I had diverticulitis at one point, which is a intestinal
little
problem.
Little pockets in your intestines that get stuff stuck in there and infected and different things.
And mine burst.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice. Once your large intestine bursts, you either have to have it removed. What's that?
Did you go into sepsis?
Oh,
did you get septic?
No, I got very lucky. When we caught it, the doctor basically caught it after I had been diagnosed with it, but they didn't see the burst in there. So when he saw it, he just immediately went, "We need to get that out of there, because if we wait, there could be an infection. You can die from this." So I had a foot of my colon removed.
Damn.
And
How
that
old
was
were you then?
because I had to. I was 28
28
when that happened.
So you've been hit by a car. You've had a foot of colon removed. What else?
Double hernia. I had a double hernia when I was 24.
Where at?
It was on my right side, right groin. So I had one going out, which looked like a baseball poking out of my groin area, and then I had one going down. And the one going down was the one that the doctor was really concerned about. He's like, people live with ones that pop out.
Yeah. Well,
that's not a problem.
My grandfather lived with one forever. It would, the intestine would go down into his ball sack and go down. And he wore
that was the one the doctor.
Yeah, he wore this damn. I don't know. He had some kind of contraption, like a little. He tried to hold it in. The strap.
Yeah, they call it a truss. You wear it like over, just over your underwear, and there's these little things that push. It basically pushes the intestine back in through the muscle.
He wore that bitch for I don't know how many years. I don't know. He wore it forever.
Yeah,
but I'd see, I'd seen him one time without it, naked, and it down in his balls back, hanging way down. The doctors kept wanting him to fix it, but he wouldn't do it either.
Yeah, and like I said, that one I took a minute, but when he explained the one going down, which is exactly what it can do, is the one going down can cut off the blood circulation to your testicles. And if that happens, you can lose those, or again, it could be life-threatening. And I'm like, I don't like that word, life-threatening.
That's right.
So let's take care of that. So I have a big plastic mesh in my groin that's holding back all of that stuff. And so I had a double hernia, and then in 2000, I've had plenty of medical issues, hypertension and high blood pressure and all kinds of stuff. And that's just because I didn't take care of myself. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't exercising properly. After all of that took place, I kind of became sedentary. I got married.
Did you finish college?
Nope.
How
nope.
far did you get?
As soon as I got 1 year, and then I came back and went right to work.
Yeah.
Joined the workforce, and again, it was I didn't like being a student, and if I wasn't playing football or baseball, I didn't want to go to school. I'd rather go to work. Maybe not the best choice, but I have to learn a certain way. So like right now during my certification process, I'm able to learn however I need to learn to get this done. And I love that because I'm a very visual learner. I like to learn by doing. Okay? Like one of the things I hate in school was when they just gave me a book and said, "Here, read this, study this." And then here's the test on it the next day. And it's like, ugh, or just give me a lecture and I have to sit there and take. I like participating. So like when I train people at my work, or if I train people in anything, I like for them to participate in it. I don't like just showing you how to do something. I want you to get in here and I'm going to tell you how to do it, and you do it while I'm telling you. Because that's how I like to learn. Now, if you don't like to learn that way, I'll adjust how I teach. But most teachers don't adjust how they teach for you because they got a whole class full of students. So like right now, yesterday, I spent a good amount of time yesterday doing the first third of the level 1 instructor workout. And so I'm doing it while I'm learning it so that I can get it down and then turn the video off and then do it again and do it without the video and see how much I can remember. And I love learning that way. I get programs on my computer, video programs, audio programs. I don't read the manual because that's not how I learn. I get on there and I play with it and I learn that way.
That, a lot of people I've heard, that's how they did their level 1 instructions, was break it down in small portions and get it nailed first, and then add the second portion and so forth. And they said that's the best way to do it. I mean, I've heard that several times, so I think that's good. So you said you got married. When did you get married?
Excuse me. I got married January 12th, 2008. So I was 27 when I got married. And my son came along June 2008. So and if anybody out there can do math, you'll notice that there's only a 6-month difference.
Yeah, there was some procreating going on prior to marriage, I believe.
Prior, yeah. We were a few months pregnant.
Even
for
math down here in Waxahachie, Texas, might can figure that one out. I don't know.
Now here, I need to make this very clear, though. All right, we did not get married because we got pregnant. I had proposed to my wife long before we got pregnant. We were planning the wedding already. So all it did was it actually just made us bump up the wedding a little bit so she wasn't showing quite as much. But it was really cool.
You didn't want to get married with 8 months pregnant, to get a wedding dress 8 months pregnant.
Well, hey, it allowed us to pick my number for our wedding day. We got married January 12th. 12 is my favorite number. That it was my football number, it was my baseball number, and it's my go-to number.
12.
So that was
fullbacks. I don't know, a different age and time. It seemed like fullbacks always had 30s back in my day.
Yeah, it's funny how linemen have a certain number system. The receivers. My junior year of high school, we had the greatest backfield. So the quarterback was number 11. I was number 12, and our tailback was 13.
Oh, man, that's cool.
So when we'd line up in the I, and it was 11, 12, 13. It was like, yes. And we were an option offense. So it would start with 11, option to 12, go to 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Option 11, option 12. We ran the option back. I was a guard. I was a pulling guard, and we ran the option.
Yeah.
And
guards were my favorite.
Yeah.
I followed them.
You try to, man.
Yeah.
But the fullback is there's two people on that field that like to run and hit. One's a fullback, one's a safety. They put the head knockers on those two positions, Those are either to clear the path or stop the path, one or the other.
We had these stickers we would put on our helmets. Now remember, this is the late '90s. Okay, this is
before they cared about head injuries. Back there, they'd stick you back out there.
Yeah. Well, these
it
stickers,
didn't matter if you knew what day it was or what week it was,
no.
as long as you could remember the play.
The plays, yeah. You didn't even have to know your name. But we had these stickers they would give you. They had little lips on them, and I never understood why they had lips on them.
Yeah.
But we would sit there during the game film the day after the game, and anytime you could hit a guy so hard that he either went off his feet or his head snapped back or something, they would give you this sticker. And so I had a ton of stickers on my helmet, and we were so proud of that. And now, like, you're looking back on that going, oh my gosh, like, we were vicious.
Well, no,
like, that's terrible.
On the defense, we would hold them up, to let other people hit them, and I mean, it was a different game back then.
Oh man, I when you're a threat. And as the fullback for an option offense, I was considered a threat. Like, I ran over people to get to the end zone. Mm-hmm. When you're at the bottom of a pile, people don't understand how horrible it is to be at the bottom of a pile. They are punching you,
poking your eyes.
These are Christian high schools.
Yes, that's right.
These are Lutheran high schools that are punching me and kicking me, and like I'm just going, thank God I wore my cup. Like they were trying to hurt me all the time.
That was the game back, and I played.
Yeah,
I graduated in '83, and I played 1 year at Austin College. And the reason I didn't play my second year is I didn't make the grades. I had when they kicked me out after 2 years, I had a 1.67 GPA. So that was my reason not to play, but I had fun playing 1 year. But yeah, it
had to be tough though.
It was a different game back then.
Yeah. Even quarterbacks were allowed to get hit back then.
There was a guy. I started. I got this is my claim to fame in my college football career right here. I started my first game as a freshman at guard, but we played Texas Lutheran. See, Austin College is a non-scholarship school. Texas Lutheran, it was in NAIA Division III. That was like the lowest school you could possibly play at. Our first game was against Texas Lutheran, which is a scholarship school, which is they were in a different, like a division. And I played against somebody, I swear he looked like he had kids in the stands. He looked so old to me. And he beat me so bad that whole game that I never started another day. He beat me to the second team for the rest of the year. So wow. But I got to touch the field every year, every game, and doing something, a play or two. But that damn guy at Texas Lutheran just whooped my ass all day. Man.
It's crazy. Yeah, we were in college. We were 0-10.
Yeah,
we were terrible. Like we lost our homecoming game by 50 some points.
Dang.
like I liked putting on the uniform and everything. I did not like playing though. Like it sucked. Like the coach would be like, "All right, Pat, get out on the field." And as a freshman, I'm a freshman, and which means I get out on the field when we're already down by 30, 40 points. And I'm like, I don't want to go out. Like that. Or if I go out, give me the ball. Give me the ball if I'm going to go out.
All right. So how much did you weigh when you got married?
I was about 195 when I got married. I was just under 2.
So that was 2008.
Yeah.
And then what happened between 2008 and 2021 to cause you to get up to 300?
So I like to blame my first kid. I've always had I've got 2 kids. One's 13, one's 10.
Okay.
And I've always had a rough relationship with food. I've had an eating disorder. I didn't mention that. I was bulimic from the age of 18 to about 22. So I'm very lucky to have gotten through that. I know it caused a lot of issues physically and mentally growing up, but I never wanted to give up food. I love food. Food was pleasure to me. It's and it's ironic because it's like you eat for pleasure, and then you're all ticked off and you feel guilty because you overate, and then because you're guilty and you feel bad, you eat again. And so it was very hard to control that. So the way I controlled it when I was younger was I ate and I binged and I purged.
I want to ask you about that. I think you're the only that I know of I've ever talked to male that's been bulimic. I don't know many. I can't think.
It's not a male centric problem, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I want to
or at
know
least
your
we hide it if it is.
I want to know your thought process. How did you get started doing it, and what made you get started to doing it?
So we've talked about my father. He tends to tie into a lot of my issues. And what happened was after college, I got kind of depressed, not like majorly depressed or anything, but I was pretty rough and I put on a lot of weight, and I got up to about 260. And that to me was really big. And for my frame anyway. And so I went to see my dad.
How tall are you?
I'm like I said, I'm probably about 5'9".
Okay.
Somewhere around there now. I don't think I'm 5'10" anymore. My wife thinks I'm taller since doing DDPY though, but so maybe I am. But anyway, so I went to my dad's house and I was just visiting, and he looked at me and he called me a fat F. I don't know if you allow cussing or anything. I'm not big on it.
I allow everything. So if you don't mind, I don't mind.
He called me a fat fuck, is what he called me, and he said, "You're never gonna amount to anything. You're just gonna be a fat fuck for the rest of your life." And I cried horribly and ran out the door, and I didn't see him for a couple of years after that. And I said, the next time, if I do see that son of a bitch again, I'm gonna shove it up his ass and stuff like that. So, but I didn't have the willpower to do it the right way. And so I kept trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? I was too embarrassed to go to the gym and anything else. So I forget what I was doing, but I was doing something, and I realized that I had a really strong gag reflex. I don't know if I smelled something or what, but I just I started and I went, huh. Like, I've heard of this, and I think I had just eaten lunch or something. So I went into the bathroom and I just kind of shoved my tongue to the back of my throat to make myself gag, and it all came up. And I was like, it was like the worst light bulb moment in the history of light bulb moments. I was like, I could do that. I can't be anorexic, because I'm thinking I got to do something drastic instead of doing the right thing. I got to do something stupid. So it meant I could eat whatever I want, as much as I want, and I could just bring it up. And what became really crazy about being bulimic, at least for me, I don't know about other people, it got harder to bring it up as I went along. And I did this for years. And so it started off where I could just put my tongue back to my throat and I could gag myself that way. And then I had to start putting a finger in my throat. Then I had two fingers in my throat. Then I had to massage the back of my tongue. Then I had to massage my uvula. You really got to get back there.
That's the punching bag in the back, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And I would like literally I would flick it and get just to try to get the gag reflex. And this is disgusting right now. Okay, like I'm disgusting myself with it. But like I would eat hot foods a lot. I love spicy foods. I would eat spicy foods because that would get your nose running. All right. And then what I would do to help the gag reflex, again, like this is disgusting. I would snort in and get that dripping down the back of my throat, and that would help. that would help me do that. I put more effort into figuring out how to bring food back up than trying to figure out how to eat properly. And you also had to learn what to eat, like what you could eat that came up quick, like noodles. Noodles come up really quick. McDonald's does not. Chicken nuggets don't come up easy. Pizza does not come up easy. You had to learn that stuff. You had to learn what drinks helped bring stuff up. Sodas don't actually do a great job, but Gatorade did. And I should probably stop, because right now I'm giving people legitimately a blueprint on how to be bulimic. But what I have to say about that is, please don't. It is horribly bad for you physically, for you mentally. It's bad for the people around you because they know you're doing it. But a lot of people don't know how to confront you on it. You sit down at a meal, and then every time you have a meal, you get up and you go to the bathroom for 5-6 minutes. Then you come back. And sometimes you get up in the middle of the meal because you've eaten a lot already. You disappear. You come back. You eat even more than someone your size should be eating. And then you go back and you do it again. People knew what I was doing, and they were embarrassed. They were ashamed by it, but they didn't know how to approach me on it. My mom finally just broke down and said, I got you a therapist. You're going to therapy, and you're going to beat this. And that's what I did.
So tell me, when you, I'd heard that it's real bad, like on the enamel of your teeth, that the stomach acid, repeated stomach acid coming back through your mouth is bad on your teeth. Did it mess up your teeth?
Not right away, but I'm paying for it today. 2021, I had a lot of dental work done. And a lot of it was because I was pushing it off because I couldn't afford it, or I didn't have dental insurance. So 2021, I finally had dental insurance. So I had a root canal over here. I had a bunch of cavities that were filled. I had this tooth over back here removed. I had a tooth back here removed. Right now, until I can get back in, I've got a tooth over here that's basically falling apart. And it doesn't matter how much I take care of them. There is so much damage done. Essentially, we're just playing the waiting game, trying to save as many of them as we can until, I probably am going to need to have most of them, if not all of them, removed and have dentures.
So after you spit the food back up, do you still feel full, or are you hungry again?
I'm trying to think, because I don't think full or not full was ever really in my vocabulary. And if that makes sense, like, it's not like I ate till I was full. I ate till my stomach felt like it was going to explode, and then I would bring it up. But I could go back and eat more. Yeah. And I'm that's where I kind of I didn't do that very often. And that's probably what saved my life, because a lot of people that die from bulimia, their stomach ruptures. So they eat too much, and then they bring it up, and they go down to eat again, and so your stomach's, and then it just it just can't take it anymore, and it just ruptures. Mm-hmm. And that, luckily for me, never happened. So I'm very blessed in that regard, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful that I was able to overcome that. But it stuck with me, and there's people that I talk to, and I try to help people now and everything, and people will say things that tick you off as someone who used to do bad things. So like someone was just saying, "Oh, I wish I could just have an eating disorder and be done with it," as a joke. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not funny. Yeah, it's not funny. You're basically wishing you could give yourself a death sentence. And it's not. It's like saying, "Oh, I wish I would just get cancer and get." It's like, no, you don't do that. People. The one thing I try to encourage people, think a little bit before you talk. Mm-hmm. I used to smoke, and I quit smoking about 10 years ago, and the thing that you hated as a smoker was you would tell people, like, I really wish I could just kick this habit. And people go, well, why don't you just stop? And you're like, oh, duh, I didn't think of that. Well, because if I could just stop, it would be easy.
Yeah.
But quitting smoking is one of the hardest things you can do. I don't drink anymore. I'll drink on like a special occasion, but even then it's just something really, really light. I don't drink hard liquor or anything like that.
What did the therapist do to get you to stop? How did it change your mindset?
The therapist basically spent most of the time just letting me vent, letting me talk, letting me get everything out into the open. And that helps. It helps your mental state, but that wasn't what made me quit. What made me quit was a lot of my story was a lot of me just, woe is me, and well, blah, 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 blah. And that's how we all get from time to time. And sometimes we need a little bit of a wake-up call. And my therapist had, what is that? Michael J. Fox has it. It's not MS. It's
Parkinson.
But Parkinson's. So my therapist had Parkinson's, and I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he would not take his medication before a session, and so he would be sitting there, and I thought he was writing, but he was just getting worse throughout the session. Then he would start to shake, his head would shake, and his speech was very stuttered like this, but then he would write notes like that. And there's no way in the world I would be able to ever read what he wrote, but he could look at his notes and go, okay, well, you told me last week. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm going, this guy's got more problems at that point. That guy's got more problems than I've got. And he's a more fully functioning human being than I am. I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
And that's what I told myself but you got to remember, this is me at my early 20s. I got a little bit more willpower in my early 20s to fight through stuff.
How old are you now?
But that's what did it.
Yeah, how old are you now?
I am 41.
41.
I'm a young 41 now.
That's right. That's about you.
I feel better than I ever have. I feel better now than when I was playing football and baseball.
Well, it's amazing, man. I really think that this DDP Yoga, I say it over and over again. People don't get tired of hearing it, but I really think this is the closest thing to the fountain of youth that we're going to see in our lifetime.
Amen to that. I agree.
Yeah, it just gives you so much back. What about, are you still in touch with your father?
My father passed away January of 2019.
2000.
I did separate from him for a couple of years. I think we needed that. And then we reconnected. He didn't really change much as a person, but he understood a bit more that I was a grown man, and that if he went too far, I could fight back. Mm-hmm. So the physical stuff wasn't there anymore. But he was still a really pretty mean person. He didn't treat people with respect, and he was a what do you call it? Well, he's a liar, but he was a habitual liar. He lied about everything, and which is crazy to me because he had a pretty. I mean, apart from being married a bunch of times, and my younger brother doesn't. He left him when I went away to college. My younger brother never saw him after 1998. I mean, you take away the personal stuff, the professional stuff was actually really something to be proud of. He worked for Caterpillar, Johnson Power Systems, Caterpillar, for like 30 some years. I would be proud of that. Yeah. He was a racquetball champion. He was as close to being a professional surfer as you could be. That stuff I'd be proud of. But he would tell people that he was in the military. He was never in the military. And that was so embarrassing as a kid because I'm like, dude, you're going to get your butt kicked at some point by somebody who's going to know better. He was definitely one of those, false valor, whatever they call that type of person. And after he died, I learned more of the lies that he told. people were coming up to me going, "Oh, so you're going to inherit his almond farm." What almond farm? Oh, he has an almond farm in Fresno. I said, no, there's an almond farm in Fresno, but our family has nothing to do with it. And they're like, well, but why would he come back with almonds in his tires? Because he went to the almond farm. And he would do things to make you believe his stories. Mm-hmm. One of his friends, who I haven't talked to since he passed, I think because he's a bit of upset with our family, was Ron Yeri, who's an NFL Hall of Famer. He played for USC and I think the Minnesota Vikings.
What position?
And he was he was a lineman. I'm not sure.
How do you spell his name?
Ron Yeri, Y-A-R-Y.
Yeri.
Yeah, he's his brother owns like a photography studio stuff, so he does a lot of team photos and stuff like that. But Ron Yeri and my dad were friends, and he told Ron Yeri lie after lie after lie. So now I'm talking with NFL Hall of Famer Ron Yeri at my father's memorial, and my big thing was I told people, I said, whatever my father told you, that's what he wanted you to think of him. And so I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say anything that's going to ruin his memory for you. And my brother had a different idea. So my brother, Ron Yeri, got up and said some words about my dad. And one of the things he said was that, he turned around and he said, well, your dad went to Stanford. And I'm going, ugh. Because he didn't go to college. My dad went right to work out of high school. And so he said, yeah, he went to Stanford. And then my brother walks up and says, he didn't go to Stanford. And so,
they get in a debate at the funeral, huh?
Yeah, right there. And it was what it was, but it was just like, I'm just sitting there going, oh man, well, there went that, that's out the window. And his girlfriend came up to me after he passed, and she was like, she goes, I need to ask you a question. And I'm like, oh, this must be a really good question. She goes, we broke up for about 3 months last year. And I went, oh, God, I know where this is going. She goes, what happened during those 3 months? And I said, well, what do you think happened during those 3 months? She goes, I heard he got married. And I said, yes, he did. He got married and divorced within about 2 weeks. and the woman is absolutely insane. And I go, that probably doesn't help that I'm telling you she's insane. But yes, that did happen. And I'm like, and so now I'm feeling that because he's gone, people are getting mad at me because, I have to be the one to take the brunt of it. But yeah, and I got a letter. I've got 2 letters from that woman that he married for a whole couple of weeks and then had it annulled. And the first one was her sending a letter to my wife warning her about me because I'm my father's son. Like, she knows nothing about me, but because my father was a jerk, that means I'm going to be, by association.
That's the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree argument.
And that was her thing, and it pissed my wife off. Like, she was just like, oh, that's what this bitch.
Yeah.
And then the second one I got about a month after my dad passed. Somehow she found out that my dad passed because I didn't tell her. And she sent me another letter. And it essentially said, your father is a horrible person and he treated me badly and I deserve some of your inheritance.
And she never married him or anything?
No, she married him for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm like, you knew him for a month tops. I knew him for 40 years. You can kiss my ass. You are not getting a fucking penny from me. It was ridiculous.
Well, two or three things I would like to comment on there.
Yes, sir.
One is I am very sorry about being raised in an environment with an abusive parent. So I do not want to make light of any of any abuse that you and your brother suffered because of him. So those, I'm very, I'll just say I'm very sympathetic to those plights, and so I don't want to make light of any of this. I don't think any of my comments are making light of any of that, because I know that an abusive parent can do lifelong damage to the kids, and I hate to see that happen to any kid. But secondly,
well, if I could say one thing really quick to that.
Yeah.
So because you're saying don't take anything you say bad. There's one thing that I would like to say that I've never said this really to anybody, but to your listeners or whoever's watching, if when someone passes, when someone close to you passes, I don't care if that person was, especially if it's a parent. Okay, it's your mother or your father. If that person was the worst person on the planet, which a lot of people thought my father was, if that person abused you, whatever the case may be, keep your comments, your negative comments about that person to yourself. Don't tell the person who is grieving, even if that person was a jerk, all these bad things about them, because the honest truth was when my dad passed, I did not get to grieve. I was dealing with his estate. He didn't have a will. I was dealing with all of that. I was dealing with all the negativity from all the people and things that people were throwing at me. And it really hurt. And it didn't allow me to really grieve for my father, my biological father. And I don't care what he did. I grew up, my mom, who is an amazing person, and she raised me as a Christian person, who my thought process is honor your father and mother. It doesn't say honor your father and mother unless, it just says honor your father and mother. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I agreed with everything my dad did or I did everything he told me, but I never gave up on him. I always wanted my father to be a better person. And when everybody was coming at me after he died, like I said, I've never talked about this, but when everyone came at me after he died, I felt like I failed in that regard. I didn't. It's not my fault that he was who he was. But I wasn't allowed to cope with it. I wasn't allowed to grieve about it. I mean, I get January, he dies. The following Christmas of 2019, I'm hanging Christmas lights on our house. And I just broke down and I started weeping out of nowhere. And I ran in the house. My wife didn't know what was wrong. I just lost it. I said, I never cried for my dad. I mean, I cried when I heard he died, but after that, I wasn't allowed to. Because no one would understand it. No, everyone, what the hell are you crying for that son of a bitch for?
Yeah, he's still your dad. He's still your hero, But I can tell you, I can tell you that, grief affects everybody different. I lost both my parents, one in a car wreck and one through COPD at old age, just to see her decline to nothing to where she's not even there anymore, But on the father, on the car wreck, it's weird, man, that grief. But I had a similar incident. I worked with my dad and my brother, and we buried him and all this stuff, and you got all that shit's a whirlwind, and it's just then everybody leaves and you're all alone. You feel like you're all alone. And then my time was when I went into the office for the first time and sat down at my desk, because we all shared an office, and sat down at my computer. And I don't know why, it was at that moment that I just broke down and cried. It was it's weird. It all hit you all at once. Yeah. And I don't know. It's a weird deal, man. The grief is a weird deal.
My wife's going through it still. Last year, so April 3rd, I start my journey. A week later, my wife lost her biological father and her stepfather within 48 hours of each other.
Damn! How did she lose both of them? I mean, was it
They
expected?
both died by heart attack. No, just like my father, just sudden.
Damn.
Heart attack. All three of our fathers, just heart attack.
Well, your kids better better be careful with the heart attacks, I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's something y'all need to watch.
So she's still dealing with it. Yeah. It's tough. You know, it's not easy. And yeah, there are moments where it's like we'll be right in the middle of something that's really fun and really, really great, and then all of a sudden I look over and she's having a moment.
Yeah, something triggers something you remember. You know, something triggers you.
Yeah, I mean that to give my wife a lot of credit, and I give her so much credit for my journey. That moment, that could have derailed everything that I was attempting to do at that time. Because she could have said, okay, you need to stop with this. You need to focus on me. I'm having the problem. I need you to just be all about me right now. And I kind of was. You know, I didn't do any workouts that week. I stayed very much by my wife's side, and I really focused on her. But she would not let me go off of my keto diet at the time. She goes, you can miss a workout for me. That's fine. But you cannot cheat on your diet. You know, I'm depressed. If I want to go pig out, I'm going to do it when you're not around, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, because she could have very easily said, we're going to go drown our sorrows away at a buffet, you know, and I would have jumped on it because I'm only a week in. What do I care?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but she did not let that happen. She's the one that stayed strong for me. And if it wasn't for her, and if it wasn't for her strength and her dedication to our marriage and to me, I would not be a champion today. So her name, I've said this to a couple people, her name should be on that belt right next to mine.
I mean, support is a big part of the journey. I wouldn't be where I'm at without the marriage support for sure. You know, it's
yeah.
Definitely a family with young kids. You know, it's hard. Everybody eating different food. But I want to go back to your dad. You talked about him having a 30-year career at Caterpillar. You know,
yeah.
A lot of times people do really well that don't have a moral in business, that don't have a moral compass, and is not afraid, you know, to basically sociopathic liars, or I don't know if I'm using that term correctly. You know, ones that can lie without.
Well, he was a salesman.
Yeah, you know, and that type of personality excels in business a lot of times. I mean, because they don't have the moral compass, and they do well, and. You know, so it's weird that capitalism, gives a positive reinforcement for those type of personalities. You know, but anyway, that's a sidetrack. All right, so you got married, you got 2 kids. How'd you get up to 300 pounds? You should have got you one of those shirts in the back that said "I beat bulimia," you know, because it would have been true. Yeah. You seen that on those guys that?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, you should have had.
Mine would actually be real. Yeah.
Yeah, yours would have been real.
Well, so like I had mentioned that I was, I had this relationship with food where I was addicted to food and everything. So when my wife got pregnant, it kind of gave me like okay, now you have permission to eat as much as you want when whatever you want, because my job was essentially to feed my wife. You know, it was like I would go to work, I get off of work, and she would have me stop at multiple fast food restaurants on the way home because she's craving stuff. Well, you think I'm going to turn down having food at all these? But no, so I ate like crazy, and I think I gained probably just as much weight as she did on the pregnancy. I was about maybe 240 when my first son was born. And, I tried diets and exercise programs off and on. I thought, I'll get a Wii Fit. The Wii Fit, that'll fix everything. Mm-hmm. And, so I was yo-yoing for a while, and it was like, 250 and then 230 and then 245 and 225 and so I never found any consistency. And I even had a UFC gym membership at one point, and that was stupid. That was pointless. And then I started allowing a lot of excuses to keep me sedentary and just keep me eating and not doing anything. And one of the big ones was I want to say it was 2012, maybe 2013. My shoulder started hurting, and it was kind of out of nowhere. And I had a lot of misdiagnosis going on. Like, I had one guy telling me, "Oh, it's a sprained shoulder," and I'm like, "How did I sprain it? I'm not doing anything." I woke up one morning and I started feeling pain. He goes, "Oh, just put a sling on." I put a sling on, and it got worse. So I had another doctor told me it was what they call frozen shoulder. So he goes, "Well, you were an athlete once." And I said, "Yeah, once." And he goes, "Well, you don't play anymore, right?" And I said, "No, I haven't played in a long time." And he goes, "Well, it's because you're not using it anymore. And so you've got frozen shoulder." And he goes, "So here's what you're going to do." And he gave me all these things to do, and I did them, and nothing worked. And then I had another doctor tell me, "Oh, it's your bicep tendon." So I started doing therapy for the bicep tendon, and that did alleviate some of the pain. And then it was 2020. 2019. I'm sorry. 2019, I finally get into a doctor who does a whole myriad of tests on it, because I'm at this point now the pain's just out of control. I can barely hand people a piece of paper. And the doctor says, "You have no cartilage in your right shoulder. So you have stage 4 severe degenerative arthritis in your shoulder." He goes, "It's going to hurt for the rest of your life. We can't fix that." And I said, "Well, what's this bicep? Is the bicep tendon anything to do with that?" And he goes, "Well, we won't know that till we get in there." And I'm like, "Oh, here we go. Surgery." And he goes, "We're not going to replace it." And I said, "Well, no, you're not going to replace it. I don't want it replaced, because you're going to replace it with a piece of plastic." And he goes, "Well, first of all, you're too young. We usually don't do shoulder replacements till you're in your 60s. He goes, "But we need to get in there. We need to take a look at it." And I used my shoulder that whole time just as an excuse not to do anything. Mm-hmm. I even I had gotten the DVDs for DDPY actually in 2019. And I had tried it, and my shoulder hurt, and I went, "Oh, I can't do that." I used my shoulder. It was an excuse. It was my built-in excuse not to do anything. And so they did arthroscopic surgery on my shoulder. So they went in there, they cleaned it out, they took out 6 bone chips from my shoulder, and then he detached and then reattached the bicep tendon. And when he did that, it made me immobile with my arm. I couldn't move my arm for weeks. Mm-hmm. And the timing of it was so bad, because what happened was so I was probably at this point maybe 275, somewhere around there. And because I had my accident in 2018, 2019 my dad died, and so things just kind of progressively I kept gaining weight. And I had quit my job with in security. I was a security supervisor for a company called Bebron, and the company that I actually worked for, I felt disrespected. I felt like I was being used and abused and everything else, and I said, "I can't work here anymore." I had my own business that I had started January of 2020, so I started it a couple months before COVID struck. And in September, California, the numbers for COVID were going down at the beginning of September. And I went to my wife and I said, "I can't take it here anymore. I can't work here anymore." I go, I want an opportunity to make my business work. I think now's the time. The company was a party and event planning and consultation company. And I thought, as the numbers go down, people are going to start planning for events. They're going to plan parties. So I need to get in on the ground floor on this. So my wife gave me her blessing, and I gave my 2-week notice. I left my work, and I had my birthday weekend, and I was all happy and celebrating. It was my 40th birthday, and then the day after my birthday, I am in the hospital having surgery on my shoulder, and then I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get out there and, hit the road. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do any of this stuff. I was in immense amount of pain. And again, I used my shoulder kind of as an excuse. And then COVID numbers spiked again in September and into October and into November. We didn't get the vaccines until later. So it was like the state, California, was a mess. And so there went my business. My business tanked. It didn't do anything. I couldn't do anything with it. And as a result, we lost our house. So that was around the time when I started feeling like, this is all me. My family doesn't deserve this. I shouldn't be here. They would be better off without me. And I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. And my top weight was probably closer to 325, somewhere around there. The highest I'd ever weighed myself was 310. And I know I got bigger than that. And I only kind of got down to 300, I think, because I went to, we moved into our little apartment where I'm at now. And so we moved out of the house. So that was a lot of work, a lot of physical work. And we live in an upstairs apartment. So it's a lot of going up and down stairs. And I think I just naturally lost weight from the move. And then I went back. I had to go crawling and begging and pleading to go back to work. And they put me at a job where I was able to I had to walk all night. And so that kind of helped me get to my starting point, which was right at just under 300 pounds. So that's the long answer.
Okay, wait a minute. All right. Hey, I got to go to the restroom. I need to take a restroom break.
No problem.
I'm going to leave it running because I haven't figured out how to pause it yet. So if you want to stop the mute your mic or whatever, but I'm going to run it and go to the restroom, and then we'll come back. We'll finish. We're going to start with. I want you thinking about it because you mentioned something in that last section that you hadn't mentioned before. You said you had an accident in 2018. You hadn't talked about it
2018, yet.
Yep.
Yep.
Let me run to the restroom and then we'll start with it. No break for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Your dog, I think your dog was sleeping.
Yeah, Jet. She snoozes back there.
She snores like my dog.
Well, hey, that's the of the three. That's the second least quiet one. We just got an English bulldog that's man.
Oh,
my niece. It's really my wife's niece, Karen, my niece. She had a 3-year-old English bulldog that she raises. She breeds some kind of mastiff, Italian Corso or something. I don't know, some kind of mastiff. And the mastiff kept jumping on the English bulldog and hurting her, and they didn't. So finally, she asked us if we'd take the bulldog. And we said, well, hell yeah, we'll take the bulldog. And so
that's my dream dog.
Oh, this is my second one, and the first one I loved more than life itself. I can tell you that. They're little people, and I tell people back when I had that other one, everything in my life is for sale and has a price except that fucking dog. So, I got a special place in my heart for bulldogs. But anyway, the bulldog will never sneak up on anybody. She's snoring, just walking. I've never heard of a dog making more noise than this damn dog. All right, man. Let's hear about the accident in 2018.
Yeah. So that was November. I had actually just gotten not really promoted, but I had been working as a security supervisor for Wells Fargo, and they were going to be closing down within the next year or so. So I requested to be moved to a new site before they closed down because I didn't want to be without a job. when that happened. So they found a place actually right across the street from where I'm at now, Western Digital. And so I went to be their supervisor, and I was there for 1 week. And I'm driving to work. It's about 5:15, something like that in the morning. And I'm getting off the freeway, and I see this SUV that does this weird turn, like out of nowhere. Just like he just kind of appears and just turns, makes this weird turn. I'm like, what the hell is going on there? So I exit the freeway, turn right, and I get into the left-hand turn lane, the far left-hand turn lane. There's two of them. And this SUV comes barreling past me, and I'm stopped at a red light. He barrels right by my right side. And I kind of honked the horn a little bit because I'm like, dude, you're going to kill somebody. Like, you're going into a red light. And I'm not, my first thought isn't, oh my God, this is like some impaired driver that's doesn't know what he's doing. I'm thinking, oh, somebody's, oh my God, like what's happening? And he turns left, and I'm going, oh man, like he's lucky he didn't kill somebody. Well, he kept turning and kept turning and kept turning. And then I realized he's coming right at me. And he hit the median, and his car went up a little bit, and I see him coming, and just bam, just T-boned me, completely wiping me out. And I mean, and then he didn't stop. This is how impaired he was. I knew that he was still pushing me because I end up 2 lanes over, and then he takes off. So he hit and ran. I was very lucky that I had some good Samaritans behind me. One of them came up to check on me. The other one took off after him. And what happened to me is when he hit, every airbag on that side of the car deployed. It knocked me out. It threw me. I'm buckled up. It threw me into the passenger seat. And so the guy, when the guy came to check on me, he woke me up. So I wasn't out long. And then the ambulance came. They took me in the ambulance to the hospital. Very grateful that I didn't have anything major in terms of, like, nothing was broken, but I was definitely beaten the hell up. And I had a lot of, there was some nerve damage, some tissue damage, some nerve damage. So I had to do therapy for months, and I couldn't go back to work. I also had some PTSD from that. I saw the accident as I'm just sitting at home. I could be sitting at home watching TV, and if something caught my attention and I turned to my left, there were times where I turned to my left and I would see the car coming at me, and it would scare the living hell out of me. I had trouble getting into cars, which is tough when you have to drive to get to therapy. So my mom would come pick me up and take me to therapy. I wasn't ready to drive for a while. And even when I was, if someone passed us on the right, it gave me shivers and everything. And so that was, like I said, that was November of 2018. And so that was a rough couple of months there. And I thought, just as I thought I was going to start coming out of it, so that the end of the year, my boss calls me up and he's like, hey, you ready to go back to work? And I said, yes, I need to go back to work. We're poor. We're broke. We can't pay any of our bills. I need to go back to work. And he goes, I got a supervisor position that I want you to interview for. And that ended up being for Bebron. And I said, great. So he sends me, like, the 1st of January, I go down there and I interview for the position. And then I don't hear anything yet. But then I go back to therapy, and I'm sitting I'm sitting at therapy, and that's when I get the phone call that my father died. And it was like, just shoot me. Like, this is just like, what else? What else you got for me, God? Because this is, I'm already struggling here. And then, so I ended up going back to work like a week after my dad passed away. So again, I kind of comes back to, I didn't have time to grieve on anything. I had life that was, kicking me in the nuts.
When
and I just tried.
when did you lose your house?
We lost our house officially. We knew we weren't going to be living there anymore in November of 2020. We moved out the beginning of January 2021.
So about from when did you quit to run your business?
September of 2020.
Okay. So from
So it
that
didn't take
accident
long.
in 18, everything kind of went downhill after that.
That was when the snowball really started. And so the way that I mentally tried to deal with everything that I was going through was by spoiling my family. That was the only way that I could make myself feel good about anything. So, I gave my wife the biggest, best surprise party for her 40th birthday. I hired a magician that's been on television, and I had all this catering and everything. I rented a pool table and all this stuff. My kids, I hired a Pokemon trainer to come out and do the Pokemon stuff. And my youngest son, we got a Velcro, one of those inflatable Velcro walls that's like 20 feet high, and you bounce on it and you stick to the wall. My wife's birthday present was a trip to Vegas, and I took her to see the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil show, and we did a meet and greet with Carrot Top. All great, fun, amazing things that I'm doing to mask the fact that I'm horribly, completely depressed and upset, but I don't want to show it. I don't want to tell anybody about it because, like I said, nobody understood it. Nobody understood what I was feeling, or at least that's how I felt. I mean, maybe they did, and I'm not giving them the credit that they deserve. I didn't feel like they understood my pain.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I know nobody can understand what you went through, but that's only something you can know is what what you went through. But I mean, I lost my house in 08, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, when I was growing up, my dad was real successful, made a lot of money. So it was really good to be a Hines. And so when I had kids, I felt like I needed to give my wife and give my kids the things that my dad gave me.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I would be a father if I didn't give them, the same things I had. And and so it's it's you do everything you can to give them what you can give them. It's crazy, but now but you were talking about, you begin to think that your wife and kids would be better without you.
Mm-hmm.
And when was that?
That would have been after September. So I think if I remember, it was right around November. So it was right around the time when we knew we were going to lose the house. When that happened, that just broke me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like you. I was like, that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
You're your husband. You're a father. You should be taking care of your family, and you take that burden onto you. Then you, when that doesn't work out, you also take the blame,
mm-hmm.
and you let it eat you up. I'm glad. I like getting this out because I like people understanding that, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are in the same position
mm-hmm.
where they've failed at something. I hope that they never take it to the lengths that I took it. I mean, I almost did something about it, and I'm glad I didn't. In a negative way. But I think really what I'm really excited, hopefully, to express is that it's never too late to turn it around.
No.
As long as you have air going through your lungs, you have an opportunity to do something about it. And there's no, you can have every excuse in the book not to do it, and all it is an excuse.
But when you're at the bottom,
I don't have time.
Yeah, when you're at the bottom of that pit looking up, though, you don't see. You don't see any potential futures.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's exactly where I was.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of flipped the script for me was, I stayed there for a long time. And what happened was my mindset sort of flipped around and became a little selfish, if this makes sense. So instead of me thinking that my wife and kids would be better without me, I knew that I wasn't gonna kill myself. I'm not gonna off myself. I thought, I almost got to the point where I was like, okay, how am I gonna do it?
Well, that was going to be one of my next questions is, did you have a plan to do it? 'Cause I think that, I think psychologically, I think that's a big issue is when you start planning and then, getting the modality to do it, then you've kind of crossed the Rubicon then,
Yeah. And I started the planning process. So I started thinking about it, and that's as far as I got. And I'm glad about that. And it kind of speaks to my willpower at the time, I was like, I didn't even have the guts to plan out that. But
thank God, huh?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be honest, fans, I don't like being preachy to people who believe different than me or anything like that. But God played a huge role in my life, in my comeback, and all of that, because I truly believe I'm a worship leader at my church. I sing, and for our contemporary worship services, I believe if I hadn't been doing that, even though I was basically faking every emotion that I was having for a while, I wasn't genuine when I was up there. But the fact that I was still doing it, it was still meaningful to me in some form. That helped me and gave me a bit of clarity in a time when I needed it. But what happened was I said, I'm not going anywhere. All right. Cause if I leave my wife and kids, then I'm out on the street and I'm going to die out there. So that to me was no different than putting a gun to my head or slitting my wrists or something like that. So I said, I'm not going anywhere. All right. And I still didn't believe that my family would be better with me, but now I changed my thought process and I said, well, if I'm not going anywhere, then I want to make sure that, or it was, I'm trying to think of this in my head here. So it was, the thought process changed to, how can I be here for the longest period of time? And then I realized I needed them. That was the main turnaround. I need them, so I need to be here with them for as long as possible. And now, how am I going to do that? And I made a list. I remember I was watching a thing about Eric Bischoff, and he made a list in order to be successful against WWE. He made a list of all the ways that he could be different from them. So again, it's the weirdest things that just click in your head. And I went, okay, I'm going to make a list, and I'm going to make a list of all the things that I've done in the past that I'm not going to do anymore, and all the things that I'm going to do different in order to be successful. So it was, I had to find accountability. I had to make sure that I was held accountable either by my wife, my family, my friends, support groups, whatever. I needed accountability. I needed to change my eating, what I ate, how much I ate, all of that. I had to change my mentality towards food. And I just went down the list. And as I'm going down that list, I see, and it's actually right over here. If I'm going to grab it really quick because it's kind of funny.
The list?
No, it was the booklet that came with the DVDs.
All right. Well, who gave how did you get DVDs? Did you buy them? Somebody give them to you?
No, I bought them. I bought them in 2018 from the website.
Okay.
That was after seeing the Arthur Borman video, after seeing all the other ones. So I bought the DVDs, but like I said, I quit on them right away.
I mean, that's a common thread. Which set did you buy?
It was the 4-pack.
Yeah,
it didn't have the extreme ones.
Yeah.
But it had beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but no extreme.
Yeah.
So I picked up this book, and I just started reading it. And I kept flipping through the pages, and I went, this isn't a workout program. This is a life-changing program. It says right on the front here. I never noticed this until I picked it up that day, that it says own your life on it. If that wasn't DDP and God coming together to speak to me, I don't know what was. It was like that, just that perfect moment. And I went, well, now I've got it. I've got the means to change my life right here. Now I have to follow the program, stay true to the program. I started walking more at work. That was really helpful. It helped with my knees a lot because my knees were shot, my hips were shot, my back was shot. And it was a struggle to get through these workouts. But man, I tell you, like it's funny how things happen to get you going in the right direction. And I sat there and I remember I was talking with my wife the other day, and we were talking about how I got started and everything. And cause she's really proud of the success that I've had. And I said, one of the things,
120 pounds in 6 months.
Yeah.
Shit, that's 20 pounds a month, 5 pounds a week, basically. Shit.
Well, here's what really blew my mind when I thought about this. How many times was someone, whether it be God, whether it be my friends, my family, strangers, whatever, how many times was someone trying to tell me to own my life and I wasn't listening? I wasn't ready to hear it yet. I go, maybe that moment where DDP walked out in the Royal Rumble wearing a DDP Yoga shirt was a sign for me that you need to start getting your act together. And I didn't listen. But I'm listening now. I am paying attention to everything. And it's a whole nother world that I'm living in now.
It's just amazing that the feeling you get when it flips switches, or the switch flips. I don't know which is better, but when you finally commit to saying I'm not going to quit. I'm not it's stopping is just not an option, and it's weird. I can tell you the exact moment it happened to mine, but it sounds like you can tell you the exact moment it happened in yours too.
Oh yeah.
When you look at that book,
That's what did it. And then from there it was just, now I was going to be very detailed about it. And that's me. My wife is a clean person. And my wife and I are we're a perfect match, but we're also very frustrating together. My wife's very clean. I'm very organized. So while she's cleaning the house, I'm coming behind her, putting things back where they belong. Like that. That's how we work. Yeah. So, and again, I wasn't part of the challenge. I wasn't thinking about the challenge. I knew nothing about the challenge. But I'm saying, this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to document everything. I'm going to take pictures of everything, because you're not going to notice changes in yourself looking in the mirror for a long time. But you will notice changes about yourself if you document and take pictures constantly. Mm. And that's exactly what I did. I'm going to take video of my workouts. I had a spreadsheet where I was documenting, what was I good with my diet today? Was I okay with my diet today, or was I bad? The only thing I didn't really go strict on was what I ate for the day. because I was doing keto at the time, and I knew that what I was eating I was really strict about what I was eating, so I knew I was going to be okay there. But if I went off of it, if it was slightly, I would change my good status to okay. If I really cheated on it, I would write bad. And I said I have to be honest about it. Now, I didn't have a red bad mark for 6 months. For that entire 6 months, 120 pounds, I never had a bad day. I had okay days on weekends. I would always give myself a little leeway on weekends to not so much cheat on the diet, but have a little bit more. All right. I tracked all my steps, all my calories out, including resting calories. And then, and so, obviously I'm also looking at calories in. I'm looking at what workouts. I scheduled out the entire 6 months for what my workouts were for that entire time in my spreadsheet. And then I would mark, did I do them? And then, did I do any extra workouts? So if I was only scheduled for below the belt and I added red hot core to it, then in the section where it said, do you complete your workout? I would put yes. And I would put yes, below the belt and red hot core. So I always keep track of everything. And again, I didn't have the app. I didn't know how easy it would have been if I had just had the app. But, excuse me. And then I had a big notes section at the end where I would write down anything that happened on that day. And as I went along, I added resistance training to that, and I started. And every time I thought of something, did I take pictures on this day? Yes or no? Did I take videos on this day? My wife and I did a couple of interviews where she would talk to me, and so that I could look back and remember, why am I doing this? And I could look back at that interview and look at myself and physically and mentally and see that person and go, I'm not going to be that guy again, and keep pushing forward. I set goals and rewards for myself. Every 25 pounds, I had a reward. And when I hit my goal weight, I still haven't gotten that reward yet, but that reward is coming at some point. The final one, which was hitting my goal weight, which at the time was 175, was a trip to Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I am a huge kid. I love Disneyland. And so I want to go. And I want to go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. That's going to take time because it's an expensive trip.
How old are your kids now?
But 13 and 10.
All right, well, they're still into it.
Yeah. My oldest son is maybe just as excited as me to go to at least the Star Wars part, at least. For Christmas, he bought gifts for everybody. He saves up his money from allowance and stuff, and he bought me a Jedi cosplay costume so that he and I could do Jedi cosplaying together. Right. So mine's a light brown and his is like the dark. So I'm Obi-Wan, he's Anakin essentially.
So y'all are on the dark side.
But then
let's see.
He's on the dark side, not me. But then I also planned, I said, what I'm going to do is when I get close to my goal weight, I'm going to schedule and do a live weight loss transformation show. And which I did do. October 9th, I think it was the date. And it's still up on my YouTube. It's live weight loss transformation. And it was awesome. I went skydiving for my birthday. That was one of my things when I started seeing my weight loss. That was unbelievable. It was the most amazing thrill that I've ever had. And it was just because what it was that was what the way I viewed that was my that was me telling the world that I'm living life now. I spent so long watching everybody live their lives and doing all these amazing things. It's my fucking turn to do it. And how better to tell the world that you're going to go out and live life than jumping out of an airplane thousands of feet in the air with a dude strapped to your back. That was cool.
How much was it?
How much did it cost?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't pay for it. No, my mom and my sister got it for me.
Oh, man.
That was my birthday gift from them.
Very cool.
And then
I'm surprised your mom would do that. I'm surprised.
Oh, my mom did it with me.
Oh, she's a
my
daredevil
mom,
too. Huh?
She jumped right out after me. My mom, for her 60th birthday, did it.
Oh, good for her.
A few years ago. And so I called her because I'm like, tell me about it and how did it. And then she's like, I'll pay for it and I'll do it with you. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go.
How much was it?
I'm pretty sure because we did the jump with the video package and the pictures. And it was, it was over 300.
I need to do that
for the whole thing.
I'm scared of heights, so it would be a major accomplishment for me to do something like that.
See, like, I'm not scared of heights, but here's how this whole situation went. I get in the airplane, I'm perfectly fine. We're flying up, I'm perfectly fine. I'm looking out at the world below, and it's getting smaller and smaller. I'm perfectly fine. He straps me in while we're sitting in the airplane. I'm perfectly fine. I have pictures of me. I'm smiling. I'm having fun. And then there's video that shows us walking to the door of the plane. And that's about when you can see my facial expression go from like, to, like it, now it's real.
Yeah.
And then they do this a couple of times and then they jump, you fall out of the plane.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're just like, holy shit. And you're screaming, and they encourage you to scream because it means you're breathing.
Yeah.
And like if they don't hear anything, then they'll get concerned because they're worried you might be passed out or something like that. And you have to throw your arms up like this, and your adrenaline's pumping so much. Just doing this, my arm hurts. Just to be honest, like my shoulder hurts. But there was no pain on that day. I mean, it was incredible. The video. I shared it with DDPY, so I don't know if they're going to use it for anything, but I posted pictures of it on social media, and DDP shared it.
He did.
Before he knew who I was or anything about the challenge or anything, he just saw a guy that does DDPY, and I put in there living life, and I hashtag DDPY on it, and he shared it with everybody.
Very cool.
And I was like, that was like one of those moments. Like I still get giddy when I have his freaking cell phone number on my phone. I can text him, but yet I still get giddy when he likes my stuff.
Yeah.
Like when he comments, like not just DDPY stuff. He and Paige both liked and my anniversary picture of me and my wife this year. That makes me feel so good. Mm-hmm. I mean, no other CEO of a company does that for people.
Well, no,
not that I'm aware of.
He's amazing.
Anyway. I mean, he is a special person,
he's
and I love the guy to death. I mean, it's at this point, like I would, if he asked me to do something, it would be very hard for me to say no.
Well, that's kind of his superpower is nobody can tell him no.
Oh, and what's funny is like I think there's a part of me that's wanting him to ask me, like if he were to say to me today, like, "Hey Pat, I need you to move to Georgia."
No, it wouldn't be like, "Hey Pat."
Yeah, or bro. Hey bro. Hey bro. Hey, I need you to move to Georgia, and I want you to work at the performance. I'd be like, fuck yeah, I am there. I don't know what the hell you want me to do.
That's right.
But I'll do it.
I'm telling you, that's his superpower.
Yeah, the bro thing. I love it.
Hey,
bro.
Hey,
bro.
Hey, bro. Hey, tell the people what your typical diet was. People that are trying to lose weight. Tell them how you lost the weight. Tell them exactly what they need to do if they want to follow what you did.
What I did, yeah. And before I say that real quick, so what I did may not work for you. It might not. People want the magic pill. They want the magic formula. You have to find that for yourself. I did, and it took a lot of trial and error to find it. But when I was able to put everything together, it really was magic. And so what I did was I started by doing keto, and I was very strict about it. Now what keto is It is a diet that puts your body into ketosis. And when your body goes into ketosis, instead of using carbs for energy, it uses fat for energy. So you still want to keep, I don't subscribe to anybody that says you can eat as much as you want on any eating plan, any of that stuff, any diet, because it's bullshit. You still need to be in a caloric deficit to see weight loss. All right. So if you think you can just go out and start eating 6,000 calories because I'm eating a bunch of meat, no, sorry, that's not how this works. So I was still very strict about making sure that I was burning more calories than I was taking in. And you have to look at both your active calorie burn and your passive, so your resting calorie rate. Mm-hmm. So I was averaging, right now I average about 1,800 resting. And then like yesterday, I burned about 2,500 active. So that means I can eat what? I hate math. I can eat 4,000 calories and still lose a little bit of weight because of I burned enough to cover it. Now it's really hard for me to eat that much now though. I still try to keep it 2 or below, but you have to keep at least 1,200 or over, at the very least. If you eat less than 1,200 calories, this is something everybody is true for everybody. If you go under that, which I've done, your body goes into starvation mode, and when it goes into starvation mode, it starts storing fat because it's trying to survive. Because it knows at some point that's all there's going to be left of you to burn, and it'll burn through muscle. You'll burn through all the wrong things. So you've got to stay over 1,200 at least. So on keto, in order to stay in ketosis, you have to get your macros just right. And with macros, what I mean is so your percentages of fat, protein, and carbs. On ketosis, your fat content needs to be really high. But that doesn't mean you go out and you buy a bunch of junk food. All right? Because junk food are all filled with crap. You get rid of all the processed foods that you have. Some people, they clear out everything. They throw away everything. One of the things I learned from when I quit smoking, I did not clear everything out of my pantry. Number one, because I have kids, and I'm still going to let them be kids, so they're still going to have their snacks and everything else. Number two, the reason why when you're a smoker, don't finish the pack before you quit is because it helps you develop that willpower. If you have a half a pack of cigarettes in your car or your pocket or whatever, and you fight that urge, it's all the more powerful and all the more effective. So I'm going to keep some of that stuff that I want in the cupboards, in the fridge, and I have to fight the urge to eat it. But on this diet, vegetables, green vegetables, really, really good for you, which suck for me. Yeah, fruits are kind of out. Because fruits are very high, even though they're healthy, and even the sugar in them is healthier. It's a healthier carb. You need to keep those carbs as close to zero as possible on keto, because you want your body to burn fat, and that's what I did. So I ate a lot of chicken. I ate a lot of beef, steak, pork, all those kinds of things. I found. We have a keto store called the Keto Candy Girl that's not far from us, and we were able to get keto-friendly products. And they have keto chips and keto stevia, which is something that a lot of people on diets drink. Stevia is like a soda knockoff, but it uses stevia sweetener to make it taste like. Now, I don't like it, but a lot of people, I've turned people onto it, and they do like it. They have desserts that you can have. They have these cupcakes that are keto friendly, and so you don't have to sacrifice everything. You just have to, you just have to be smart. You have to really make sure you're paying attention to those macros. So high fat, medium protein, all right? And the medium protein, I always tell people, make sure that protein is up there in the medium range. Don't go below, and you can go higher if you want, but it might kick you out of ketosis. So really make sure that protein's in the medium range, because that'll help with your muscle development. And when you're doing DDPY, whether you think it's doing it or not, you are building muscle. You're building what I like to call your foundation. Like what I was building a foundation of muscle. Like now, I'm doing the Jack program. I'm on the 90-day Jack challenge. I've added an inch to my arms, and I'm, and so protein's really important for muscle building. And you are building muscle doing DDPY, even if you're doing the energy workout, or you're doing a chair workout, or you're doing just the diamond dozen. You're building muscle because you're doing push-ups, you're doing dynamic resistance, right? Isometrics. All of that's going to help build your strength and muscle. And then your carbs need to stay as close to nothing as you can. Some people give themselves a little bit, to satiate themselves. I didn't. I was super strict about it. One of the things too, stay away from most products that say sugar-free and diet on them, because if you want that product, or you think like, let me at least see, check the ingredients. All right. Check the labels, make sure all the macros are right. And then, look for a product called aspartame. If you see the word aspartame on a product, put it down. I cannot stress this enough. It is in every single sugar-free and diet soda. You get Diet Pepsi because you think it's healthier than Pepsi, you're going to ruin your body, you're going to ruin your teeth. Aspartame is basically a toxic chemical, and your body treats it exactly the same as sugar. So what is the point? It's done to sell a product to someone who thinks they're being healthier. Okay, so I'm passionate about that one, because I screwed up on that. The first time I tried keto, I bought all these sugar-free drinks, and there were powders, and all of it had aspartame in it, which meant I was not seeing any success at all. So big thing for me, stay away from aspartame. But here's what I found that I could have. All right. Water. Lots and lots of water. And no matter what meal plan you're on, water should be number one on your list. Number two, green tea. Green tea is very healthy. It's very good for you. It's really good for helping you with keto and ketosis. It keeps your energy levels up. It kind of acts like a caffeinated drink in a sense, which is really good. Caffeine's actually good for keto. So coffee is actually really good for keto, but I don't like coffee. So I stayed away from coffee. And then there was Bang energy drinks is where I got my caffeine from, because there's a lot of caffeine in Bang energy drinks, but there's no carbs, there's no aspartame, there's none of that. There's carbonation, obviously. So when I needed I wanted to feel like I was having like a cheat drink, but I really wasn't, Bang energy drinks were where it's at. And again, it all comes back to DDP. Bang. Like, hello. And then I discovered Ocean Spray. I love cranberry juice. So one of the things I started missing right away was juice. Cranberry juices especially. Ocean Spray makes a diet cranberry juice. They have cranberry, cran grape, cran cherry, cran raspberry, all of it in diet. I picked up the label expecting to be disappointed and see aspartame in the ingredients. It is nowhere to be found. This is legitimate diet cranberry juice, and it only has 1 gram of sugar per serving and 5 calories per serving. So that was the only time I ever took sugar in or had calories through something that I was drinking, and I was perfectly happy with that. It didn't screw up my macros, and it wasn't going to take me over in my calories for sure. And one of my big things is I love to take, at the end of the day, I take a cup of cranberry juice and I put it in my freezer and I make it into a slushy. And then I sit there and I slushy it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And so I did that for 16
weeks. You're not going to have any urinary
weeks.
tract infections, I guarantee.
No, I will not, sir. And I never have. I've always wondered if that's why, because I've always loved cranberry juice. I've always wondered if that's why I've never had one. With all the problems I have had, I never had that. But so I did keto for 16 weeks. because keto, for me, I knew that keto was not going to be something that was sustainable for the rest of my life. I don't want to be in ketosis for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'm going to waste away to nothing. And then eventually, because you don't want to be completely devoid of fat. You don't want to be 0% fat. That would suck. And if I were to get that way, then my body's just going to eat everything else: skin, muscle, tendons, all bones, everything. And so it was not sustainable for me. So after 16 weeks, I started making the transition. I still wanted to keep my carbs down, but I swapped the proteins and the fat to start off with.
Okay,
So,
all right, okay. Now wait a minute. Let me stop you at the.
okay.
You had said when you were doing ketosis.
Yes.
This thing makes a lot of noise. I'm sorry, but the
No problem.
high fat, medium protein. So tell me what percentage is, or what did you shoot for to try to get the medium protein?
Okay, so essentially what I'm looking at, and if I'm looking at percentaging out this, I'm looking at least 60 to 70% of what I'm eating. That should be fat. Okay, so if you get a steak, some people cut the fat off the steak. Leave that on if you're on keto. There's nothing wrong with that fat on there. You can have mayo. You can put mayo on everything if you want on keto. That's not bad. I mean, now it would be for me, but back then it was perfectly fine. So you're looking at about 60 to 70% in terms of fat content, and then you're going to be looking at about 20 to 28% protein, and then the last 1% is carbs.
Okay.
So like chicken. So for example, if you're going to have chicken is a really good lean protein. So chicken alone is not going to be good for keto. So you have to add things to it to get the fat content up. And that's where special stores like Keto Candy Girl and stuff like that, those help you out, because then you're able to supplement the higher protein stuff. So, but fish is really good for keto. And not only because there is a lot of fat content in fish, but it's very healthy fat. Salmon. I still eat a lot of salmon today. Salmon is a great, to me, salmon's like a superfood. It's got really healthy fat. It does have a lot of protein in it. And I eat salmon probably 3 times a week now, again, because I'm trying to build and develop the muscle. But yeah, that's about where you want to be. But beef tends to be really good for keto, like meatballs and stuff. Pork is actually not as good for keto as you might think. I was really shocked. We went to the store. My wife used to look at the percentages on the labels and then bring stuff home thinking it was keto friendly. And I said, you realize that's not what that means, right? The percentages on there is the percentage of your daily recommended value based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So if it says 60% fat on there, that's 60% of your daily recommended value. It doesn't mean that that's the percentage of fat in the product. Yeah. Like that was a tough thing to get my wife to understand on there, because she would see a high fat percentage and then she'd see a medium protein percentage, but the protein was actually much higher than the fat content, because they don't recommend you eat a lot of fat. Yeah, obviously. So, but yeah, that's about where that's what the macros would be on ketosis, and so I would recommend if you're gonna try it, they sell these ketosis strips, and you pee on it, and then it'll give you a color, and it'll tell you if you're in ketosis and what level of ketosis you're in. And I highly recommend getting those, because if you don't have that, then you're not sure. You'll see the scale drop, and that'll tell you for sure if you're on there. You'll see your weight drop. But I liked using those strips during my time on ketosis, because that would tell me, okay, did what I eat yesterday, did that affect my ketosis levels? If I saw it drop, then I would think to myself, okay, what did I eat that made the level drop? And I would adjust and make changes. So again, but that's me, you know, I'm a bit more, again, detail oriented, more organized in that way. So, you know, some people just kind of throw caution to the wind.
So 16 weeks at Keto, in Keto, how much did you lose in 16 weeks?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I had to have been at least 75 pounds.
Yeah, because you lost. I would think you would lose most of it in that first run. Because
that's right. Okay, so 4, 8, 12, 6. That's 4 months in. So it probably was. Yeah, I would say it was somewhere between 75 and 85 pounds. Because that was, I do remember 75 was where I had earmarked as the amount of weight that I was going to lose when I was going to transition off of it. I did not think I was going to hit that weight that fast. Mm-hmm. So again, like a lot of people thought that I was doing this because I was trying to lose weight quickly. I really wasn't. Again, I found my magic formula. I found what worked best for me, and it took a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work and dedication to make that happen. I was not expecting that. So I was planning on being on keto for maybe 8 to 9 months. So to be off of it in 4 was pretty cool.
What did you transition to?
I just basically swapped the proteins and the fats. I went into a high protein mode, medium to low fat, depending on the fat source. Okay, so again, if it was a healthy fat, like if it was fish, I could easily go into the mediums and be perfectly happy. But I cut out stuff like mayo and condiments that had fat in it, all that kind of stuff. I cut out beef. I'll have a steak from time to time. Like if my wife makes steak for the family, I'll have steak. You know, it's not like I'll turn my nose up at it and say, no, get that away. But it became more about chicken and fish. Those became my staples. And I got really, because I make my meals now, I got really good at seasoning. So that became key, because my wife was like, how can you eat chicken so much? And I said, because every chicken I make tastes different. Yeah. Is it's about seasoning it, you know. And again, I love hot sauce. I have right now 7 different hot sauces in our kitchen that I use, and it's, you know, a different one every day. I have a whole thing full of seasoning in there. My wife is still in shock.
What's your favorite hot
sauce? I have it's an organic hot sauce. I don't know the name of it. The Red Hot makes an extra hot sauce that's really good, but there's this organic Chipotle sauce that we have. It has just enough heat to where I'm like, okay, but it's really tasty. And I hate when hot sauces sacrifice heat for taste, or they sacrifice taste for heat. I like when there's a combination, and that organic one that I have is so good. You don't
remember?
I ran out of it. You know what? It's right here. I can reach it. Okay, this is it right here. It is Arizona Peppers Organic Harvest Foods gluten-free organic Chipotle habanero pepper sauce.
A hell of a name, but it sounds good.
It is, yeah. And my wife got it at Ralph's, or I guess other parts of the country it would be Kroger.
Yeah.
It's
Ralph's
it
is Kroger,
so good.
The same store?
Yeah, like Kroger, like Ralph's is corporate.
Yeah.
Like, I guess is the best way to put it. And Kroger is like their brand.
I didn't know that.
And so like there's certain, so I think at one point they were 2 separate entities. Mm-hmm. And I think Ralph's might have, or one of the two absorbed the other, but they didn't change the name for either one. So like here in the West Coast, it's Ralph's. But I know like in other parts of the country, it's Kroger.
It's Kroger here.
It's funny, and it's like that for a lot of stores. Walgreens is it Walgreens? I forget what I went to Chicago, and the drugstore out there was a store we didn't have here. And it was actually a knockoff. It was like the store brand of what we have here.
I got you.
So it's the same kind of. It was really weird. But yeah, this is my favorite. Absolutely 100%. And I don't need a lot of it.
Who makes it? You said I'll have to look for it.
Well, it says Arizona Peppers, so I'm guessing that's the company. Arizona Peppers.
I don't think I've ever seen
well, you know what? It looks like Organic Harvest Foods would be the actual company. So here, if you guys are interested, let me give you the website. It's www.azgunslinger.com.
Arizona Gunslinger.
So, Arizona Gunslinger, yeah. So www.azgunslinger.com. That's the website for the company that makes
Very
this.
cool.
It is delicious, and it has some spice to it. It's not overly hot, but it's got spice to it. And I like to, I'll add a little dry seasoning to it, to what I'm doing, and to give it a nice little crust there. And then I add this to it, but I add it to it before I cook it, so that it soaks into to whatever it is that I'm cooking. It's really just. I love cooking now.
So are you still doing the no carb?
Not at the moment. I still keep them low. All right, but I'm not strict with the low to no carb thing. I try to keep them down. Right now, it's like I said, I'm doing that 90-day Jack challenge. Mm-hmm. So the first 45 days, which are actually almost up. I think next week I'll hit 45 days. This has been all about gains. So I know I don't weigh myself anymore. I look in the mirror, I take pictures, I judge based on how my clothes fit, how I feel I look. All right. I know I've put on weight, but I'm good with that because that's what my goal was. All right. My arms, dude, check this out. I have a bicep.
You got some guns.
Yeah. So you're
supposed to say the bathroom is over there.
It's
over there.
That way. Yeah. I can't do that. I can't do that very well. But in order to build muscle, you have to, if you're really trying to put on a lot of muscle, you've got to eat more. You've got to eat, you can't be at a caloric deficit when you're trying to build. All right. So for the first 45 days, I'm actually trying to eat like right at what I need, or just, I'm okay if it's slightly over. All right. I'm not going to punish myself for it because I'm doing everything for a purpose.
Yeah, I've always heard protein. You eat a lot of protein if you want to build muscle.
Yep. And that's why I said chicken and fish. Mm-hmm. Chicken is very lean. It's a very lean protein. But for building muscle, this is fact, people. Fish is number one.
Really?
But it's got to be the right kind of fish. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you go to the store and you see frozen tilapia, put it down. Go back in the back of the store where they've got the fresh fish and get a good cut salmon. Mm-hmm. All right. It might be a little more expensive, but it is worth it. We get salmon that's like, I can't even do it on the screen that I see in front of me. It's huge, and it's about $30.
Yeah.
And I cut it up into servings, and then that'll last me probably a couple of weeks, because I don't have fish every day. I'll have like fish, chicken. Mm-hmm. And again, it's about seasoning it, make the flavors. That's how I get. My wife still doesn't get it, but I'm like, no, because the salmon I'm eating today isn't going to taste like the salmon I'm going to eat 2 days from now. Like, I have lemon pepper seasoning. So like, I might have lemon pepper chicken or lemon pepper fish one day, and the next day I'm having what is that? Nashville hot. I have Nashville hot seasoning. I'll do that. I'll make it a spicy meal or something like that.
I'll tell you a DDP story. When I was sending my food to DDP, and he was jumping on me when I'd eat something bad, but one time I had tilapia, and as soon as he saw it, he called me. He said, "Bro, you know that tilapia's trash, don't you?"
Yep.
And I said, "Fetch fish." He goes, "No, they grow it on farms, and don't eat tilapia."
Yeah. I think my aunt actually was the one that my aunt told me that it wasn't fish, and I'm like, "What do you mean it's not fish? It's in the seafood aisle."
Yeah.
I was like, like, what are you telling me? My grocery store's lying to me?
All right, so we've got your food now.
Yeah.
Let's go back through your workouts, how you got to where you at, and what can people do if they wanted to follow you like you did your workouts?
Number one thing that I'm going to say is follow the program.
And the program you're talking about is?
So like if you get the DVDs or you get the app, either one. So you start off at beginner, and I'm trying to find it here in the book here because the book here gives you like a calendar that you can follow, and it tells you, when to do what workouts. A lot of people that I see in any health and fitness thing that they set out to do is they do too much too soon, and they don't see instant results, and they quit. Mm-hmm. This is not in the time that we live in, that's kind of normal. We have everything at our fingertips. We can have it now. This is not an instant gratification thing. This is a long-term, life-changing program, and you need to stay true to that. All right? You don't have to jump out ahead of yourself. I lost 120 pounds in 6 months, eating properly, walking, and following the DDPY beginner and intermediate program. I didn't even get to advanced at the end of the 6 months. That tells you how powerful this program can be if you follow it properly. I started with the Diamond Dozen. I tried to film myself. My dog ruined the shot because she hit the camera and it stopped recording. So I filmed the second one, and the second time you do Diamond Dozen and energy. So I did Diamond Dozen, I went into energy, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get maybe more than 6-7 minutes into energy. My body kind of gave out. My shoulder definitely gave out. I went down, and I went to push myself back up, and you can see me go poof, like my arm just gave out underneath me. And I turned to the camera and I went, like, I'm done. I can't do it. And I felt bad later because I was like, I could have just gone into safety zone like he tells you to, mm-hmm. and wait it out. There's no shame in it. Wait it out and do what you can to finish the workout. Even if you have to just sit there and the thing's playing and maybe you can only do the going home part. Hell, that's better than quitting. So that's what I did. All right, now I'm like a DDP monster. I'm a DDPY monster. I do 3 workouts on Monday, 3 workouts on Friday. I do 2 workouts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I do a workout on Saturday, which is usually one of the longer ones, like a 70-minute workout, and then I'm off Sunday. I'm always off Sunday.
We do off day on Friday. We do our off days on Friday.
Well, and like there's a lot of people in the DDPY community who are, every day doing it. I am a believer in the power of rest and recovery, especially right now as I'm trying to build muscle again. Your muscles need recovery time in order to grow. If you don't give them a chance to breathe and recover, you're not going to see the results you want. Because the way muscles work is, you're tearing the muscle as you're working it. And the same thing when you're doing DDPY, because you are working your muscles, you're strengthening, you're stretching, you're working on your cardio. It's doing those little tears to the muscle. So you have to let that heal. And so like when it said off day on the calendar, I took an off day. But I stayed strict with my eating habits, and it was about changing that mentality. And DDPY really, really helped me do that. It really helped me focus, really helped me center myself. Listening to DDPY take you through those workouts. I loved listening to him do his thing because I got all of his references, and he would reference wrestling, or he would say, that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. And, the people who know, and I'm like, yeah, I know, so that was really cool. Mm-hmm. And I found that I wanted to do better. It wasn't that I needed to, or that or just kind of naturally have. It was like, I would do a workout one day and I'm like, I can do this better. So the next time I do this workout, I'm going to do that better. And I told myself that every time. And then it just kept growing and growing. And one of the things that I really like to do now is I watch DDP do the workouts, right? And if you want to get better, try to emulate the people that you see doing it at the highest level.
Well,
so as I was going,
a 12-step deal, if somebody has something you want, then go and do what they did.
Yeah, and so what I did was I would look up. You're not always supposed to look up, but you'd get into a position. So say like twisting lunge. I'd get into twisting lunge and I'd look up and I'd look to see how DDP was doing it. How did he look doing it? And I would match that. How far were his fingers spread out? Were his fingers like this, or were they like this? Mm-hmm. His are like this. I'm going to do it that way. When he goes up for it, he first brings his hand down and then sweeps it up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my hand down and I'm going to sweep it up. Match his movements, match his positions. And then as I did that, then there were certain things when I would go like, I don't like the way he does that. I'm going to do it. Because he tells you to make it your own. Yep. Make it your own. So once I got his movements, his motions down, then it was about, okay, now can I make this more effective for me? Mm-hmm. And with my shoulder, I modify a lot of stuff. All right. I just recently have gotten to do military presses just using dynamic resistance. I had to do this. I had to go like this and push up and twist my arms up like that. That's the only way I could do it without severe pain. Yesterday, this is no joke.
NSV.
Yesterday was
NSV.
The first day. Yeah, it was amazing. We were in Road Warrior, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of pull your shoulders back. Yeah. And then you go up into militaries. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to try it and keep my shoulders rolled back and then push up. There was no pain. And I'm like, okay, 3, 2, 1, no pain. What the fuck? 3, 2, and I did it.
It worked.
And I was like, I was so excited when it happened because I hadn't done a military press like that since December when I was working out at the Performance Center with Dallas and the Champions. Yeah. And that was just because of pure adrenaline. Yeah. I felt no pain during that workout. Mm-hmm. But those are the kind of things that for me really keep you pushing forward. Not just the results. Because eventually you're going to get to a point where the results you're looking for, hopefully you achieve them. And then you got to make new goals. And you got to set new goals, new rewards, new things. My 2022 rewards are off the chart, or goals are off the chart. People are like, you're crazy. I have, by June, I want to have a talent agent. It's like, people are like, why? I was like, well, because I'm a singer, I'm an entertainer, I do voiceovers, I like to act. I want to do that. All right. By the end of the year, I want my first paid gig. And they're like, you want to do all that in a year? I'm like, yep. I go, look what I did last year.
Yeah. That's right.
That's my answer to everything. Yeah. I want to become an instructor this year. I want to be certified to be a DDPY instructor level 1 this year. It's a tough thing.
If you don't put it out in the universe, you never know what'll happen when you put it out there.
I put it on Facebook. I put it out there for everybody to see. And I always like to put one thing that even I'm pretty sure is not going to happen. Yeah. But I do it because I want to try to make it happen. And so I have one goal on there that says that I will meet in person Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of my all-time favorite you know, he's essentially he's a hero that I have. Not maybe he's done a couple shady things, but for the most part, I love the guy. Yeah. He has a motivational speech that I listen to every week.
Which one?
And it's one where he describes the keys to success, and I've basically copied them and pasted them onto my own life. I even shared my version of it with the DDPY Facebook group, where I said, you know, you need to have a vision. You need to see what you want to accomplish, and that's what I'm doing. It's what I did. Mm-hmm. It's what I'm doing now. You want to don't listen to the naysayers. Cut out the negativity. When someone says you can't do something, prove them wrong. You want to work your ass off. Mm-hmm. You know, I've told people, you know, when people say, how did you achieve what you did last year? How did you do that? Nobody worked harder than I did. That's how I did it. Now I can't prove that, but I would love to see. I'd love to see somebody. Wait a
minute. I'm going to dispute you there. They can't. You can prove that
from the results.
From that and from the scoreboard in the app. Are you on the app now?
Yeah.
And so where do you rate? You know, they have the running tally and points every month.
Right now, I think I'm at 70.
Anything under the 100, man, is unbelievable. You know, that's 100 out of 40,000 some odd people.
Yeah.
That's 100.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how guys are getting what, like, are you just watching the workout?
It's unbelievable how they get. You know, I got under the 100 one time, and after I saw what it takes to get there, I was just amazed. You know. Well,
I mean, think about this. If I'm doing 3 workouts 2 days a week, 2 workouts 3 days a week, and I'm still doing my Saturday workouts, how many freaking workouts are these guys doing?
Well, you know, I can tell you, on mine we cheated. So. You know, because if I mean, you know, I would wear it. I do a custom workout on any workout, so not just DDPY. So I'd do a custom workout if I did any other type of workout, and I'd keep record it. But Mary and I share the same app. So when if Mary and I didn't, you know, worked out separately, then we'd get points for both credit. Of us. We double dip.
Yeah.
So that, you know,
we cheated. I should have my family do that. My wife does workouts from time to time. My oldest son does workouts from time to time. I should be like, damn, you guys should be using the app.
Yeah, string up the app. Get the points.
Because they're using my old DVDs.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, this is my app.
Yeah, no, get them on the app. So get the points for them if they're gonna work out.
There you
go. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, that's funny. That's funny that I didn't even think about that.
Well,
because I am Mr. Honest here. Like, no, that'd be cheating.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to pay for 2 apps, so we use the same app. So, I guess we're in effect stealing it, but we're stealing.
Well, I mean,
half an app.
The truth. I mean, if you want to do it guilt free, I mean, I guess not paying for it, you might have some guilt, but in terms of the points, you can always at the bottom where it says to save the or whatever, like you can uncheck that, I guess, and then maybe you won't get credit for the points.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I don't know, because there's always that option.
Yeah, if you don't want to save, that's true. Anyway, back to you, man. Back to you. That's badass, man. Getting it in 100, under 100 is unbelievable. When did you make the switch to the app?
That would be as soon as I got back from Georgia.
So you won the contest just doing the DVDs.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
And that was nobody knew that. And so when I got to Georgia, imagine the shit I took from everybody when I tell people that I don't use the app. And they're like, "Oh my God, like we have to get you on the app. We can't have one of our champions not be on the app." And I mean, like I had like Brian Gray was like on the computer, like, "I'm going to get you on it now." Like he's like, "I'll pay for a full year for you to be on this thing." And they're like, "No. We'll get him set up. We'll do this and that." Like, you know, so they gave me like the 3 free months, you know, and stuff and everything. So like, but it was funny because like, so when we got to when we were going to do the workout with Dallas, I was scared to death because I'm sitting here going, you guys won't shut up about the app and what I'm missing. So what the hell are we going to do in this workout that I'm not ready for?
Yeah.
And Brian Tan, who's the grand champion, he pulled me aside and he goes, let me just show you a couple things from like the warm up, where you're going down into catcher and you do one forearm to the mat, and because you don't do that, stretching it across and then wrap and burn. And like those are things I wasn't doing on the DVDs.
Can you do wrap and burn?
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, I cannot do when you're in catcher position. Okay, and I can wrap my left arm around the outside of my leg, but I can't do my right arm because of I just can't. The range of motion for my right arm isn't because of the arthritis. So I have to wrap and burn and catcher between my legs, which is fine, but I do the same for both arms. I don't like outworking or working one arm and not doing the same for the other. So sometimes I feel like I'm holding my left arm back, like my right arm's doing at one level and it's like barely keeping up. And so like when you do when you're in three-legged dog and then you bring your one hand up on your hip or onto your glute, so I can do that really well. But for a long time, I really struggled to do it, but only with my right arm.
That's
so like I'm doing
move.
This with. It's oh my gosh! I was like, it was one of those moves the first time I did it where I went, I am never gonna get this right.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to balance on my right arm and right leg on the same side? I can see opposite, but not the same side. And now it's like I love doing that move.
That's a tough move. That's a difficult. Hey man, I'm gonna have to call another bathroom break. I've been drinking everything over here, tea and water and everything. And okay, how much more time can I use of your time? You're a great interview, so
I probably can go another 20 minutes. Okay. Unfortunately, my wife and I we've got date day planned. We don't have any kids this weekend.
Right, so I got 20 more minutes to 2:30. So all right, let me go. I'm gonna be right back. All right, man, you back on? Got your belt back on. That's good.
Well, I hope nobody's upset that I'm wearing my Super Bowl champion Rams shirt.
That's good. That's good. You need to represent.
I just got it yesterday.
Hell yeah!
On clearance.
Hey, did you win a Heisman Trophy back there? Is that what that is?
This one is. I just want to make sure. So that is from my senior year of high school. It's the most dedicated athlete award.
Is it that? Is he doing the Heisman? Is that what? I can't really tell.
Yeah. It's that same pose. Yeah. I won MVP for junior varsity football my sophomore year. Yeah. But I was never really good enough to be like. I never thought I was good enough to be given an MVP award or anything like that. Like I was good. Like I'll admit to that. I was good.
Well, shit, you got to be good to play college at any level.
But my coaches for both baseball and football, like they're like, you're not good enough to be the MVP, but we can't not give you something. They literally invented that award for me.
That's cool.
And then the one for baseball, because again, like I'm a worship leader in my church and stuff. And I've always been very active in the church. So I actually led all of our prayer times and devotionals for our baseball team. So they actually gave me a most spiritual athlete award because they wanted to give me something.
That's good. That's good. Well, hey, what denomination are you? I'm always curious about people's faith.
This was fun. So I started life as a Reformed Presbyterian.
That's what I was. I grew up Presbyterian.
Yeah, and so like I grew up in a church where there was no instruments. You all harmonized together.
We weren't that Reformed,
Oh my gosh, we were in a little school. We weren't even in a church. They rented a school and we all sat in a classroom. And then my mom got a job, I went first. So I started going to preschool at a Lutheran Missouri Synod Lutheran school, and then my mom started working there, so we just naturally became members there, and I've been part of the Lutheran Church ever since.
Now, the way that I understand Lutheran, I may be wrong. No, that's what I was thinking.
I have an easy description of Lutheran.
So this is straight down from Martin Luther tacking the note on the Catholic Church door. So this is the Lutheran. The church runs straight down from him. Is that the name? Lutheran.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's Catholic light.
Catholic light.
That is what I call Lutheran Catholic light. It's all the Jesus with half the guilt.
Half the guilt. I love it. Yeah, you got to have that
if you look,
you got to have some Catholic guilt. You
got to have some guilt. You got to have some, but not to the point that the Catholics do. Like that's on another level.
Well, hey, I'll tell you something that you may or may not know about Presbyterianism. But do you know the difference? I know you only got a few minutes. I know you get back on your story.
Yeah.
But do you know the difference between
no problem.
Presbyterianism and Methodism? Methodist?
I want to give an answer because I want to know if I'm thinking what of what you're thinking. So there's one doctrine that you prescribe to as a Presbyterian that you do not as a Lutheran, and that is once saved, always saved.
That's right.
Is that where you're going?
Well, that's similar. I mean, that's a.
Okay.
I mean that is a part of it. Yes, because the Presbyterian,
you're preordained.
Yes,
as saved.
Yeah. Well, it's determinism versus free will kind of argument, because the Presbyterians believe, we were saved by Jesus, and that
correct.
And it's, if you either believe God is omnipotent and controlling everything, or you believe you've got free will. And so the Presbyterians kind of leaned with Calvin more into the omnipotence and believe that everything's determined. I mean, that, your lot in life's already kind of set, but you act the way you do because you have God's grace, not to earn God's grace. And
correct.
And so it's a determinism versus free will kind of argument. So, but anyway,
I love the fact that I was brought up in both.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's given me such a unique perspective, because I kind of agree with both at the same time. I do believe that grace and you're saved through the blood of Jesus. You're not saved by anything you do, right? Yeah. There's nothing you can do to earn salvation. But here's the interesting part to me, where I do think that God knows what's going to happen. So there's it's like he knows what you're going to do before you do, but it doesn't mean he doesn't give you the ability to choose, to make a decision.
That's been the fight for 2,000 years. I mean,
and I think the reason why I think that is because the word of love. The word love is where I tend to skew more towards, not more towards, but why I'm able to mix in the idea that we have the ability to make decisions. He knows the decision we're going to make. Well, it doesn't take away.
He made you to make that decision.
Yes, but it doesn't take away from you making that decision. And because if you create something that's made to love you, right? If you create something that is, let's change the word from made to forced. Again, you are forced to love me. I made you that way, so I made you to love me. Now make something who has the choice to love you and chooses to love you. Which one is the more powerful love of the two? And that's where I kind of I would see God as being someone who would want you to see God for what he is and who he is, and choose to love him even though he knows you're going to make that decision. It's such a weird thing. Like, I can't wait to die. I honestly cannot wait to die. I have so many goddamn questions.
So many questions.
You know, I mean, I am going to spend God's going to get so sick of me because he's going to be like, you don't have to take all of eternity to ask me this stuff.
That's right.
You know, you know, I've had a lot of very interesting conversations with people of all religions, all types. In order for me to get my first tattoo, my mom said, I will pay for your first tattoo if you can convince our pastor that it's okay biblically to get a tattoo. I pulled it off. I used scripture to make tattooing okay, as long as the tattoo wasn't something evil or bad or something like that. So I did it.
Christian tattoos. Was it Old Testament or New Testament?
It was neither. It was a horrible looking cougar coming out of my arm because
the argument.
Concordia River Forest. Oh, the argument.
Yeah.
It was a mix. Because being Lutheran, being Christian, you can't you have to have a mixture of Old Testament, which is the law, and the New Testament, which is gospel. Yeah. If you can combine the two and mix them together, you have a recipe for success.
All right, man. I got you off sidetracked here, but I'm always interested in people's spirituality and faith.
Oh, me too. I had a whole conversation with Paige McMahon in Georgia about it, because I've heard Diamond talk about God, and I just, I like having those conversations. I'm not there. I will give you my thoughts. I'll give you what I believe, what I think, but I'm not going to force you into anything. I'm not going to sit there and then, okay, now that you've told me your opinion, let's sit down and let's convert each other. No, I'm not. I like just having conversations, because I think that's where you see, that's what's missing in the world. All the racial tensions, all the political tensions, it's all this bullshit that could all be solved if people would shut up when the other person's talking, and then have a normal conversation. Just quit trying to talk over each other. Quit yelling and screaming at each other. Just talk. Yeah. It's okay to disagree with me. If you don't agree with something I have to say, I'm not going to be mad about it, because you have every right to have your own opinion on shit. Yeah. It's just, that's just my thing. That's my big thing right now. I just see this world. It's one of the reasons why, again, I like the DDPY community. It's so supportive. It's not a bunch of bullshit and people, just pissing on each other like most social media is. It's real people, and they're having.
Oh, go ahead. I meant I cut you off. They're having. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. I was kind of up on my high horse anyway.
No, but I've asked everybody this question because it was so important to me, and it kind of feeds. Yours was kind of a segue into it. But how has social media been a part or affected your journey?
Well, before my journey started, I was about ready to quit it. I was giving up on it. It was just all the crap, all the people, just all the negativity, and all it does is feed into your psyche, and it's just it makes you negative, because all you want to do is complain about everything that you see online. It's like, what does that do? That doesn't help. I had a couple moments where I was trying to get people to say positive things and do positive things, like, hey, instead of posting a political meme today, why don't we go back in time? Let's do something different that we used to do back in the day. Let's post what we're eating for lunch. It's something simple like that. I'd rather go back to those god-awful, annoying days of people posting food than the stuff that we got today. I mean, it's all bashing and insulting, and I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. We're missing respect and all that stuff, and so it was really damaging for me, and I almost quit on it. But the social media side of it, once you get into the DDPY family, you see social media as it's meant to be. I really believe that, and that's not me pitching DDPY. That is, I'm when I say something, I mean it. That's the honest to God truth. That is social media as it was always designed and meant to be. People talking about what they did wrong. People they're comfortable enough to say, I screwed up on this today. I cheated on my diet. I didn't get my workout in today. And you know what happens? Nobody gets on there and bashes these people for it. Nobody puts them down. Everyone gets around them and they lift them up. Even if it's just liking the post or putting that little care part of the post there. Even that is uplifting. On my darkest days, if I saw someone put a little heart on my post, it would make me feel good. And so social media started having more and more and more of an impact. And I didn't post a lot at first, and which is why I was really the dark horse in the challenge in 2021. Nobody knew about me. And then all of a sudden I'm announced as a champion and people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, where did he come from? How did we not know about him? And the funny part is I really was posting. But because I wasn't posting every day like Brian Tan or Stephanie Kelly or like Jeremy Landry was posting a lot. So everybody knew those three. Brian Gray and I were probably the least active. But like I think the most that people knew about me was I was the guy that dressed as Superman. I posted pictures of Halloween of me in a spandex Superman suit. But now I find that I am posting a little bit more. I'm still not overly active about it. I like reading other people's stuff. I like liking their stuff. I like commenting on their stuff. I like interacting in that way. And I feel like if what I'm saying, if I don't have something that's inspirational, motivational, or just really positive, then it might not be worth saying. Those are the three criteria for my posts on the DDPY and the Positive and Unstoppable page, Twitter, all those things. The inspirational, motivational, or just insanely positive. So the last couple days were probably my two best posts, and they're probably the two of the least liked posts because it's just words. Mm-hmm. When I post a before and after, I'll get 300 likes on it, and that's great. That's awesome. But I said, do you want to be successful? And I said, here's how. And I outlined what we talked about, where I said, have a vision. Don't listen to naysayers. Work your ass off. And then I posted the next day and I said, all right, you've attained success. Now what? And now I give an outline of how do you react to success? And I say, you got to be thankful. And this is very important. I think if we're, as we're coming to the end of our talk today, I think this is really good. Be thankful. I am thankful to Arthur Borman. I'm thankful to you. Okay, you're so inspirational. One of my favorite pictures from when we were in Georgia is you standing next to Maria. You have a huge smile on your face, and she is crying. She's so happy to see you. It's a powerful picture.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It really is. It really speaks to it.
Make me cry.
Yeah, I cried a lot. Yeah. I'm a very emotional person. I'm thankful to Dallas for not only creating DDPY, but for who he is as a person. For doing what he does to help save lives, help people own their lives. I'm thankful to the people involved in DDPY. So being thankful is number one. And I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful for the fact that he gave me the gifts. He gave me this life that I can go out and make something of it. He didn't put me on this earth to wallow in self-pity and fade and waste away into the night. He put me here to do great things. And that's what I'm going to do. Number two, stay humble. We talked about this. Stay humble. You're not better than anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not. I lost 120 pounds in 6 months. If you only lost 5, congratulations. You're awesome. That's just the beginning, because you're going to go even further as you go along in your journey. And I said something about have faith, pray, because nobody's perfect. We establish that relationship, that most important relationship that you have and that you can have with God. I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head, because I just being thankful part makes me so emotional already. You know, it was to help others. You know, pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
You know, that's another huge one. So those 4 things, I mean, those are big things. And if you do those 4 things and then you go to number 5, set new goals.
Mm-hmm.
You've just had success. Your story's not over. Unless the success you were looking for was death.
Yeah.
Your story's not over. You know, set new goals, new aspirations, and then go back to my other posts and follow the steps that I gave you to achieve those new goals. And just start the process over and over and over. That's how I'm living my life now. I'm not just saying that shit. I'm not just putting that out there and telling you to do it, and then I just sit back and go, oh, man, that was a fun 2021, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. You know? Hey, I got a little money, I got a belt. All right, I can relax now. No. I'm going to tell you this is how I achieved success. This is what I'm going to do now that I've achieved that success, and I'm going to repeat the process over and over and over. I'm going to do it right along with you. And I haven't done it yet, but all the people who have been posting comments, I ask people, tell me what your goals are. What are your dreams? All the people that are posting on there, I'm going to go back in there, and I'm going to reach out to each one of those people. And I'm going to say, what can I do to help you achieve that goal? You know, I think one of them, this guy was like, I want to get to the PC this year. I want to go and I want to do a workout with Dell. Okay. That's an awesome goal to have. You know, what can I do to help you achieve that? Do you need help with the challenge? Is that why? Do you think the challenge is what's going to get you there? By becoming a positively unstoppable champion, I can help you. I can help you understand what they're looking for at the end of the challenge. You know, that it's not just about weight loss. This isn't a weight loss challenge. This is a life-changing challenge. So, you know, that to me that's the power of what social media is and should be. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you can only find it in the DDPY community.
When did you find the DDP Yoga Facebook group?
I found May of 2021, so a month after my weight loss journey is when Pat McDermott reached out on Twitter because I posted a thing and I tagged DDPY in it. Yeah. So that was when I joined the Positive and Unstoppable Challenge Facebook page. It wasn't until maybe another month after that I found out there was an actual DDPY Facebook page because I watched one of Dallas's Fabulous Fridays, which let me just say to be on that was really cool. That was really emotional. But yeah, I saw that and I'm like, wait, there's a DDPY page too. So I joined that around that time. And again, it was just like you want a community that's supportive and is going to help you achieve. Whew, you can't do any better than DDPY.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what does the future hold for Patrick Sims?
Oh man, the sky is the limit as far as I'm concerned. I mean, and that's not a cliche. That's not a joke. I have the confidence that I have has grown. The positivity that I have has grown. I'm back to dreaming. As much as that might sound weird to some people, I stopped dreaming. I took all the things I wanted to do in life and I locked them away because I didn't feel like I was worthy of them. And now I'm like, screw that shit. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make my dreams come true. So like I said, I want to get a talent agent. I want to be in entertainment. I want to do something that I always wanted to do. I love entertaining. I love making people feel something. It's why I love being a worship leader, because when I'm singing and I see someone lift their hands, it means I've elicited emotion, which is giving them a connection to reach their hand up. It's powerful. I cry when I sing a lot because I sing with emotion. And that's cool. You know, I want to do that. I want to get there. I want to be a certified instructor at every level that they come up with, because I want to give back to the DDPY community. I want to get new people into the DDPY community because it's worth getting into. I don't care who you are. I don't care what fitness level you're at. I don't care if you need a life change or not. You need to be a part of this program. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just, I want to achieve again. I mean, that's powerful to me.
How is Patrick Sims the father husband since the transformation?
I am a father now. I mean, I look back at what I was, and I was nothing more than like an angry dad. I was always mad. I am a father. I am somebody that my kids look up to. I'm not just dad. I'm the guy that they want to be like now. Like I said, my son bought me that Jedi outfit because he wanted me to do stuff with him. That didn't happen before. Every time I wanted to do something with my kids, like, for example, they liked a toy called Beyblades. They're basically fancy, expensive tops. And I was like, okay, I want to do Beyblades with you guys. They completely fell out of wanting to do Beyblades. And so I said, okay, well, here, you guys can have the ones that I bought for myself. And then all of a sudden, they were back into it again. And I was like, ugh. Like, my kids don't want to do anything with me. They don't like being with. Now they like being with me. They like hanging out with me. They used to fight over who got to sit in the back seat because the front seat sits next to me. Now they're fighting over who's sitting in the front seat. Who gets to sit next to Daddy when we're watching a movie at home? Who gets to sit next to Daddy when we go to medieval times, which we did a couple weeks ago, or when we go to a movie out somewhere, anything. Who at dinner time, who gets to sit next to Daddy? That's the new argument. And I mean, it's like, again, I get giddy. Like, it's like, that's why I wanted to be a father. I wanted to be a dad because I wanted to have that kind of a relationship. I didn't have that with my father. I wanted to be proud of my dad, but that didn't happen. But now my kids are proud of me. My oldest son does DDPY because he wants to be more like me. My son wears a lot of my hand-me-downs that I don't fit into anymore because they were mine. Not necessarily because he likes the shirt. He might not get why I like Cobra Kai, but he'll wear it because it was mine.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And as a husband, I don't know if I've apologized enough to my wife for the husband that she had to put up with for so long. And I try to let her know that, because of her, I am who I am. And she tells me, she's like, you're a different person today. And it's hard for her to deal with. Let's just in truth, whether your changes are positive or negative, if you're a different person than who you married, it's a shock. Mm-hmm. All right. And it's a tough adjustment. So she's looking at me and she's saying, yes, every change you've made is positive and it's great and it's fantastic. It's still weird because that's not the person that I was in love with a year ago. Through all the shit that I put her through all of it, through all the negativity that I had, through all the depression and all the terrible things that I was going on in my head that I know I was making life miserable for people. And for her to still love me through all that and still say, you're the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. It's amazing. And the least I can do is to keep being a better husband for somebody like that. It's incredible. I smile so much now, and my family smiles a lot now, but they're proud to see me up on stage singing now. And, they're singing along with me now. They know I'm not faking it anymore. Like today we have no kids. They're with my parent. They're with my mom and my stepdad. And so my wife and I, after this, we're going to have a date day. We're going to go to a restaurant we've never been before because we love doing that. We love trying new things. But then at the end of the day, we're going to come home and we're just going to probably snuggle on the couch and watch a horror movie because we're crazy like that, you know. And those are those are things I cherish. And then tomorrow I'll see my kids again, and my youngest son is gonna have his first communion pretty soon, and so tomorrow he wanted me to be the one to take him to his elder interview because he's already done the classes and he did his little paper. And now he has to meet with with one of the elders, and they're going to just ask him a few questions, and he could have anybody there. He could have mommy there. He could have his brother, who's actually done this before, there. You know, I did it, but it was 30 years ago. Yeah. He could have had anybody there. He chose me. So, man, life is so worth living when you do the right things. You know, I love my life now. And I know that my family is better with me. I know that now. And I know that I am so much better with them.
Well said. Beautiful. I want you to end on a story I think I've got right. Now, you were recently on a game show.
Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, I did not even think about that. I am so glad I get to talk about this because I have had to shut up about this story for months. October 15th is when I filmed Let's Make a Deal. All right? You're not allowed to post about it. You're not allowed to talk about it until the episode airs. The episode didn't air till January 25th. That is a long time to wait.
Yeah, that's right.
But man, it's really fun. So, you know, like I said, part of this whole journey has been me wanting to live my life, right? Live life. Go out and do shit. Don't just watch everybody else do it. And I talked to my mom about skydiving and all this stuff. And I think I'd lost about 50 pounds at the time. And I was gaining confidence back. And I'm sitting at home and I'm watching Let's Make a Deal on Paramount Plus. And I went, oh, I'm feeling good for these people. And I'm going, and something clicked in my head. And I went, wait, I'm watching people live their lives again. That's literally what you're doing when you're watching a game show. You're watching someone else go out and have fun and live their life. I'm like, I wonder how I get on that show. And then the thing pops up and says, oh, just go here. And I went, all right. So I went online. I filled out the application. And then they contacted me back. They set up a Zoom meeting. And you have to bring a certain amount of energy for that show. Well, it's just not a problem for me. I'm full of energy. Yeah. And so they interviewed me. They liked me. And they wanted me to actually come in and shoot their Christmas special. And that made me feel really good. I'm like, oh, wow, they really want me to do this. But I couldn't. There was a scheduling issue where I couldn't make the taping. And they only gave me like a 2 or 3 day notice. And I said, guys, I need for my work purposes, I need at least like a week. You got to let me know like a week ahead of time. So they went, okay. And then I didn't hear anything for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then they called me back again and they go, hey, we want you for the show. Can you come out? Can you do October 15th? I think it was like 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And so you have to go down. You got to do a COVID test, and you got to bring your proof of vaccination and all this stuff. And then I go out there the day of, and you have to You have to wait there. You're in costume. You have to come in costume. And I was a giant pickle, so I was Pickle Pat, which is actually a character that I do on TikTok. It's a talking pickle that I animate. I try to be funny with it. Yeah. So I was Pickle Pat, and you go in and because of all the protocols, you know, you're trying to get to know everybody around you. There's not many people. It's not like back in the day when they had a whole crowd. If you've watched the show, there's like 12 pods up there. So there's not many people. So we were doing our best to get to know each other and just kind of learn each other, have fun. And so, hopefully I maybe got some people into the DDPY community from there because I talked a lot about it while I was there. And then there's this lady that goes around and she walks you through what's going to happen when you go inside. And one of the things they have to talk to you about is if you get calls up, if Wayne Brady calls you up to do something, to make a deal. And she goes, okay, so if he says, tell me about you, what are you going to say? And I went through all the normal spiel that everybody else does. And I said, oh yeah, my name is Pat and I'm a security supervisor for Volcom. And I have a wife and 2 great kids at home. And, hi kid. I'm doing all that crap. And she kind of looked at me and she went, that was really good. She goes, but everybody's saying that. She goes, is there anything special about you that's different? And I went, yeah. I said, I'm a lifelong WWE fan. And Wayne Brady was actually a host for Monday Night Raw a few years ago. And I remember watching that episode. I remember him taking a RKO from Randy Orton. I said, and because of that lifelong obsession with professional wrestling and WWE, I found DDPY. And she goes, what's DDPY? And I said, I go, you might know DDP Yoga. She goes, okay. She goes, okay. And she's starting to get all excited. And I said, because of that, I lost 120 pounds in the last 6 months. And so she's like all jacked. And she's all excited. She goes, okay, forget the family. And I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, this is what you're going to say. Because they produce Wayne Brady. So they'll kind of tell him like, okay, when this guy comes up, this is the question you're going to ask. Don't ask him about it. Just ask this question. So she goes, you're going to say that you're going to call it DDP Yoga. Don't call it DDPY. Call it DDP Yoga because more people are going to know what that is. Because I knew what that was. I didn't know what DDPY was. I said, okay. She goes, okay, when you say you lost 120 pounds, say since Easter. Don't say in the last 6 months. And I'm like, you did that really quickly. Like, you did the math on that really quick.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm pretty good with that. And I go, okay, so I'll say since Easter. And if you watch the show, I say 120 pounds since Easter. That's April. April to October is a really awesome feat. Now, April to January is still a really awesome feat, but not quite as impressive as April to October. So we all go in, and we're all getting to know each other pretty well. Like I said, and there's this one guy, and on the show, he goes up, does the big deal. He wins the big deal. I told him before we went on there, I said, spoiler, you're going to get the big deal. And you're going to win the big deal of the day. And he was an 18-year-old kid. He was doing something, and I was congratulating him on it. I'm telling him, I'm like, don't lose this lust for living life. Keep doing this. Keep being this kind of person. Live this kind of life. And I said, because of that, you're gonna take it all. So he gets called up. He wins like a little, one of those little scooters. And a trip to Vegas, which I'm like, oh, what a prize for an 18-year-old to go to Vegas where you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So
they're going to corrupt him right off the bat.
Yeah. And so then I'm waiting most of the show. And I remember thinking in my head, I just don't want to play a game. I don't want to play a game. Because if you watch Let's Make a Deal, you want to make a deal. You want to get up there and have him give you option A or option B. Do you want the curtain or do you want the box? That's what you want. Your odds of winning are better that way. So I'm saying, please don't let me play a game. Everybody loses when they play a game. And I see them roll out this big match game board. And I'm like, oh, God, please don't let this be my thing because I'm terrible at this. And all of a sudden, but you have to pretend like everything's great. So when they come back from the commercial break, which they pretend there's a commercial break, and he says, all right, who wants to play? And I'm like, yeah. And so he calls on me and he goes, all right, Pickle Pat. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, son of a bitch. But I'm jumping and hooting and hollering. Yeah. And then they turn the board around. And on the back of the board, you get to see what all the prizes are and where all the zonks are. And you have I forget how much time you have. To me, it felt like 2 seconds. But I think it's like 30 seconds. Like, I don't know. It's a lot longer than it feels. But so I remember 2 corners, and one corner was a $1,500 and the other corner was $1,500. And then I'm looking at other stuff, and then the board starts to turn back around, and I'm like, God damn it. All I could remember were the two corners. Like, this is how terrible I am. And then you have to remember that it's switched. It's opposite. So if you saw it up on this corner as it was one way, when they turn it around, it's in the opposite corner. So, but I remembered. I got those two corners, and now my mind is completely blank. I have no freaking clue what to do. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with my anniversary. So I picked 12. And then I'm going to go with this number. And I end up, like, by a fluke, getting another $500. No zonks yet. And the only way to lose everything is you have to match 2 zonks. So now I'm listening to the people behind me and praying that they paid more attention to the board than I did. And so I'm listening and I'm going, okay, I'm hearing 3. Okay, I'm going to go with 3. Okay, I'm hearing this. I'm going to go with this. And then I matched curtain number 3. Still no zonks yet. And even Wayne Brady's like, you are on a roll. And so they open curtain number 3, and it's a new car.
A new car.
A new car. And here's the funny part. So when you watch the show, you see the car. The car wasn't there when we shot the show because of the chip shortage.
Could you say that again?
Oh, sorry.
Trouble hearing you.
Sorry, my phone went off, or my watch thought I said was talking to it. So when the curtain opened, there was no car because of the chip shortage. So they don't always have the car there to show. So there was a picture of the car. There was a TV. There was a TV set up with a picture. Yeah, and the funny part is the picture looked way better than the actual car. Because it's a 2021 Ford EcoSport is what I won. And I mean, I was hooting and hollering, and because I mean that's huge. Yeah. And then the very next pick was a zonk, and so he gives you the option: you can keep playing and risk it, or you can keep what you've won. I've just won $2,000 in a car. I'm sitting my ass back down in that chair. I'm done.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Dude, that good choice there." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're darn right." Yeah. But I was the highest winning player, so I got offered the big deal of the day, and because my total was 23,000 and change, so in the big deal of the day was 29,000, and I'm thinking it's probably another car.
Yeah, a bird in the hand.
Yeah, so I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm very happy with what I have. I thanked him and I said, no, I'm turning it down. The next lady up on the list won $15,000. Cash. She turned it down because she was just going to take the cash, and she had things she was going to do for her kids with it, and we were like, yeah, great job. Well, my buddy that I predicted was going to win the whole thing, but he's sitting behind me, and I turned around and I looked at him because I knew he was next.
Yeah.
And they called on him, and he looked at me, and he looked up and he went, I'm going for the big deal of the day. And he walked by me, and I said, I don't give a fuck. Whatever number you're confident with, you stick with it because you're winning the big deal of the day, just like I told you. And he went, okay. And he's a big Transformers fan. And his favorite Transformers movie was Dark of the Moon, which is the 3rd Transformer movie. So he based his curtain pick on Transformers. And so he picked number 3. Yeah. And he goes, and he's like, are you sure about that? And he's like, yes. And then I'm like, okay, good. He took my advice. He stuck with it. And they opened curtain 1, and I forget what curtain 1, but it wasn't anything great. They opened number 2, and it was a pool table, which my wife would have loved. And then they opened number 3, and it's a brand new Jeep, like Wrangler or something like that. A beautiful car. Yeah. Just a beautiful car. And he lost his mind. I was so happy. I won something, but like I was so happy for this kid. And he and I walked out together, and we walked back to our cars, and we talked for a good like 10, 15 minutes afterwards, just where I was just trying to tell him, just reiterating, dude, let this be the starting point for you to get out there and keep doing great things. Don't let anybody take you down. Don't let anybody tear you down. Take this win and run with it, man. Do whatever it is you want to do in life. And he was so grateful for me taking the time to do that. He was such a great kid. I mean, I wish I had exchanged numbers with him. I wasn't thinking about it. I was just in mentor mode at the time. And so the whole experience from beginning to end was just amazing.
It's awesome, man.
And then when it happened, and then I got to post it, and I posted it, and to see, my plug for DDP on national television, DDPY national television, millions of people are seeing that.
Yeah.
And Paige McMahon commented on that, like I never thought a Pickle. I'd see a Pickle promoting DDPY on national television. DDP was super stoked about it. Everybody was so happy about it. And I still haven't gotten my prizes.
You haven't gotten your card yet?
No, they have 90 days after the show airs to get you your stuff. I just got a notification yesterday that the money's on the way. So the money should be deposited within the next, probably within the next week, I would probably say. And then I'm supposed to get a call from a car dealership, and they're going to, once they get the car, they'll call me to set up me getting it. But the really cool thing is, like I said, I'm not thrilled about the actual car itself, but you can take what Let's Make a Deal is paying for that car, and you can put it towards something else.
Any car out there.
And there is a brand new car out that it's a new truck called the Ford Maverick.
Yes, electric truck.
And it's a kind of a hybrid. And so I saw that first time I saw that thing, I fell in love with it. I think it's a great looking car. I love the fact that it gets great gas mileage, which is rare in a truck. I don't need a big bed, just enough for me to DJ with. And it comes standard 4 doors for a family, and it's got plenty of room. So I'm like, I want that car, but it's probably too expensive. It's cheaper than my Ford EcoSport, the base model. The Ford EcoSport is $21,000 and change. At least that's what Let's Make a Deal is paying for it. The Ford Maverick starts at $20,000. So my goal is to literally drive my current car, my current SUV, which is a 2016 model, and drive that to the dealership, trade it in, get the new car, and drive home. No payment plans, no worrying about taxes, because hopefully what they would give me for my car, which should be a decent amount, because it's well taken care of, should let me just walk in and walk out. That's the goal. And if I have to go into some of that $2,000 that they gave me for winning, then so be it. As long as I end up with that Ford Maverick, I'll be happy.
I want to see a picture of it when you get it.
I will definitely be sharing that one. You can best believe that.
All right.
I mean, I'm hoping it works out. Worst case scenario, I'm allowed to turn it down. I'm allowed to just say no, because no matter what happens, if you take it, you have to pay the taxes on it. Mm-hmm. They count that as income, and so you got to take care of your taxes on it. So, if I turn it down, it just means less of a tax bill for me, and I'll take that. I'm good with that. But we'll see what happens. But no matter what happens, like I said, the experience was incredible. It's something that again was just another way of me just announcing to the world, Pat Sims is here, and I ain't going away anytime soon. I'm 41 is just a number. I talked about going into the entertainment industry, and I've had people tell me, you're too old to be thinking about that. No, I'm not. You're not too old for anything. I don't care. Steve Carell didn't get his break till he was in his 40s. So what, I'm no Steve Carell, but you know what? I'm me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make something happen. Okay. I'm gonna make the world stand up and watch.
Well, you dream big. You never know what you get.
Yeah, I'd rather dream big and come up small than not dream at all. Because then you don't come up with anything.
That's right. Well, hey, a couple of questions before we get you to date night.
Yes, sir.
Advice to people just starting their journey.
Give it time. Patience. Be patient with the process. It's going to work. It will work. But you've got to let it do its thing. Don't get too eager and antsy with, seeing big numbers right away or looking for drastic changes right away. Just stay true to the program. All right. Find what works for you. Don't base your success on someone else. Don't look at what I did and then, if you try to emulate what I did, great. And it works for you, great. If what I did doesn't work for you, learn from that. It's called a journey for a reason. Journeys aren't simple little processes. Journeys take time and effort. Going through the jungle is a journey. Walking from your bedroom to the bathroom is not a journey. That's a trip.
Yeah, that's right.
Trips aren't hard. Journeys are difficult. All right. And remember that this is long term. If you're in this to win a challenge and that's it, get the fuck out. That is not what this is for. This is for making a life change to be a better person, better human being, better husband, better father, better wife, better anything, just better. So give into the process. Let it do its thing. You will improve. Improve it. You'll improve every day. So don't give up. Just stay true to it and be patient. It'll happen. I promise that.
If somebody wants to join the Positively Unstoppable Challenge for 2022, how do they join?
Mm-hmm. They would go to positivelyunstoppable.com. And if you go to positivelyunstoppable.com, not only can you join the challenge from there, and they'll give you the link so that you can also join the Facebook group. You can also see all of the stories from last year's champions. So you can see Brian Tan's transformation and his story. He was our grand champion. I was number 2. So you will see my transformation, my short little essay story. And definitely check us out. Check out our stories because they're all different. All right. And one of the things that I would also recommend, if you join the challenge, go and subscribe and follow to DDPY's YouTube page. That's where you can find Vance's story. You can find Arthur's story. And you can also find our stories. They just put Stephanie's out. Stephanie's was great. I loved it. I can't wait for mine. I know they're working on it. I don't know when it'll be out, but I can't wait for mine. I'm probably going to cry like crazy. Yeah. But they just released one about how everyone has a different story. Everyone's story is unique. And that's the first time I ever heard myself say those words. If my family came home and I wasn't there, that they'd be better off. I'd never heard myself say that before. I've spoken it many times, but I've never heard it. It hurt me to hear that. But then I leaped for joy to see myself at the end of that video and to see all of us at the end of the video just giving encouragement and telling people how that particular chapter of our story ended. So yes, positivelyunstoppable.com. Check it out. Get inspired from the previous champions 2020. Candy Herndon, just incredible human being. Got to know her when I went out to Georgia. She was the grand champion for 2020. Justin Dobbins, I've just recently got to know him. He was one of the champions from 2020. I could go on and on about all these guys. Maria, Brian, everybody. They're amazing people. I know you only asked where they could do it, but man, I encourage people so much to become a part of this, really get invested in it. And the Positive Unstoppable Challenge, even if you've already lost a ton of weight, join it anyway. I'm there. All the previous champions are there. We're helping. We're encouraging people. And remember, it's not a weight loss competition. You don't win because you lost X amount of weight. You don't win because they don't base off of the percentage of body weight lost like Biggest Loser. They're looking at a change in they're looking for your story. They're looking for your physical transformation and your documentation, but they want to see a life change. That's what they're looking for. So yeah, I can't encourage people enough to become a part of DDPY and get involved in that challenge. Even if you don't think you can win it, Great. You know what? That's even better, because I never thought in my wildest dreams that was a reality for me. And I made it happen.
You know, it just
Because
dawned
I
on
put the
me.
work in.
It just dawned on me who mannerisms I think that you kind of favor is George Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
George Carlin.
I love George
Yeah,
Carlin.
I think you've got some of the mannerisms and some of the.
I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny when I do these shows, like for my podcast, which is on For You Productions here on YouTube. But I always try to keep my hands down, which turns into me focusing on my dominant hand, which is my right hand, which means my left hand is constantly doing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And because I talk, I'm very physical when I talk. I'm very expressive. And again, I think that's part of, being, in part of the worship team and stuff. You're very expressive and growing up in that kind of environment. And then, being an entertainer, you're trying to connect with people. And I think there's no better way of showing that you're passionate about what you're talking about than physically showing it. If I was just to sit here the whole time like this, I could probably say some interesting things, but I don't know if I could hold your attention for quite as long. But if I'm up like this and I'm talking and I'm animated and I'm showing you how excited I am to talk about it, you might be more willing to give me a listen to,
All right. If someone wants to follow your rise to stardom, where would they follow you?
Well, you can, on social media wise, we have the number 4 letter U entertain is my handle for Twitter and Instagram. So you can find me there for you entertain. My Facebook isn't private. You can find me on Facebook. Just look for the picture of me going like this. That's my one of my champion pictures. So, it's not private, and it doesn't mean I'm going to accept friend requests from a ton of people. I like to know people before I accept it, but you can look me up there. You can see me there. You can also see information on me, like I said, from DDPY, DDPY.com, positivelyunstoppable.com, their YouTube page. You can find me there. And then, of course, my YouTube page here on YouTube is For You Productions. Again, number 4, letter U, Productions. And I've got my podcast there. I've got lots of videos. Some of them are going to be coming down here pretty soon. So get on over there and check them out. Like my fake news network, that's going to be coming down here pretty quick because I don't have time to write scripts like I used to. So I have had to let a few things go in order to achieve the dreams that I'm shooting for now. And then Apple Podcasts is where the audio version of my podcast is. And you can look at For You Entertainment Podcast. That's one of them. And then For You Health and Fitness Podcast is the other. Or you can look at Patrick Sims and you can find me that way. So those are generally the ways that you can reach out to me. I am on TikTok, but to be honest, I haven't done it in a while. Pickle Pat took a break. And so I don't even remember what my handle is. I'm pretty sure it's probably For You Entertain. Yeah. That became like my standard. So I think For You Entertain is my TikTok handle as well. So, and I'm not shy. If you send me a message on any one of them, I may not respond that day because I have since the challenge, I've been getting quite a lot of messages. A lot of people asking questions, and wanting advice and so forth. And I'm more than glad to help anybody out. So if you want to send me a message, please, I encourage you to do so. Just be patient. As I said before, be patient with me. I will reach out to you for sure. I don't ignore anybody.
And final word, what do you want to be your final wisdom point for your podcast?
My final wisdom point. Don't wait. Don't wait to make that change. Don't wait to do what you've always wanted to do. I'll reiterate what I talked about earlier. Have a dream, have a vision, make it clear in your head what it is, and then go for it. And don't let anybody hold you back from going for it. Be whatever it is that you want to be. That's my big thing, man. I lived so long without living. I was just on this earth. That was all I was. And now I'm a part of it. I'm actively participating in life. And if you're not, you are missing out. So that's my I don't care what age you are. I don't care male or female. If you're 100 years old, look at Ted. Ted, also on the DDPY YouTube page, you can see him doing that Usher video.
Was he 87?
87 years old.
87.
That's my hero right there.
I want to get Ted on here. I want to depose Ted.
You want to hear really quickly before we end? You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
So I met Ted at the Christmas party, at DDP's Christmas party last year, and I walked up to Ted, and I introduced myself. And when I met my wife, all right, so I have to segue here really quickly. When I met my wife, the night we met, she asked me what my name was, and I said my name is Pat. She said, Matt? I said, no, Pat. She's like, I know, Matt, because we were in a loud karaoke bar. And she said, and I said, no, Pat with a P. And my wife went, who the fuck? What's Matt with a P? So it took us like half the night for her to understand that my name was Pat, P-A-T. Yeah. So now fast forward 13 plus years later, or almost 13 years. 13 plus years later. And now I'm meeting Ted at the famous DDPY Ted at DDP's Christmas party. And I walk up to him. I introduce myself. And he doesn't know who I am. He's not following, the challenge or anything like that. But I said, my name is Pat. And he goes, oh, Matt. I said, no.
You might as well just change your name to Matt.
Yeah. I said, no, my name is Pat. And he kind of looked around like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I said Matt. And I go, no, it's Pat with a P. And he literally just looks at me. He's like, Matt doesn't have a P. And I went, never mind.
Well,
never mind.
You know what this means?
You call me Matt.
You're going to have to marry Ted.
I'll have to tell my wife, sorry, honey, but I found the love of my life elsewhere.
You got a new one. You went to the same line,
He's 87.
All right.
Yeah, that's my Ted story.
All right, man. Well, get out of here before your wife gets mad. Go to your date night with no kids and have fun. Yeah. And thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you doing this. A great interview. Sorry I took up so much of your time. But
oh, no. Hey, I had fun. I loved it.
I really enjoy getting to know people and talking. That's the beauty of the medium is there ain't no rules, So
yeah.
But
yeah, I loved meeting you in Georgia, and I was always hoping to get more of an opportunity to talk with you. So that's why I reached out to you, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been a blast.
Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you, and good luck on your road to stardom, man. Keep us little folks. Make sure you keep us. Don't lose a relationship with the little folks.
Oh. Absolutely not. I remember rule number 2: stay humble.
That's right. All right, Patrick. All right. Hey, don't hang up when I stop the record because I got to tell.
No problem.
I got to tell you, yours is fine, but let's see. I'm gonna hit stop record. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. I'm your host, Vance Hines of Transform with Vance, where transformations begin every day. Please take a moment, if you will, if you like the podcast, to subscribe and follow, and you can find us on social media as well, either under Vance Hines or Transform with Vance. Please tune in and subscribe to our feed. You'll be able to hear lots of transformation stories. I'm in search of interviewing as many transformation as I can find. So if you have a transformation that you would like to have someone interview and have their and appear on the podcast, just send me the name and number, message me, and I'll reach out to them and try to get them here. But no matter what, a better life begins on the mat. Get on the mat and start your transformation today. Thank you.